Chapter 1493. It was as if a god and a devil were dancing wildly in this world. The chaos calamity that filled the sky poured down in full force. The astronomical phenomena were frightening. The spectators in the distant worlds all had goosebumps, feeling disbelief. How could it be so strong? The chaos calamity's form was continuously becoming stronger. What exactly was happening? Was it the one undergoing the calamity that was defying the heavens? Or was it the chaos calamity that was almost impossible to pass? The world's understanding of this strongest chaos calamity was limited. They didn't know what its strongest form was. People couldn't see clearly what was happening inside, but some people saw a blazing light burning. It was blurry and difficult to see what was happening. This light was Su Yan. He was burning fiercely in the chaos calamity. His body was suffused with a terrifying, devouring power. This was a shocking life aura that filled the air. It devoured everything and had an extremely far-reaching effect. Boom! The moment Su Yan's chest rose and fell, the sound of muffled thunder rumbled. It was deafening, and the space-time all around was fluctuating. Following that, the space-time enveloped by the chaos calamity was drained of energy. It was all swallowed by Su Yan. Visible to the naked eye, bolt after bolt of chaos lightning was swallowed by Su Yan into his body. They were all turned into great tonics, replenishing the energy his body needed to evolve. Of course, this wasn't enough. It was very difficult to satisfy Su Yan's evolution. The path of life's evolution required a foundation that exceeded the world's understanding. Although this lightning tribulation was Su Yan's immortal tribulation, to him, it was a life and death tempering path that tore apart the essence of life's evolution. His expression was calm. He took out a large number of heavenly treasures and took out all the immortal Tao stones he had. He refined them all to replenish the energy his body needed. During the process, Su Yan's expression was pained. Because the experience was very unusual, the heat was unbearable. His body seemed to be burning. This was the path of life's evolution. Su Yan's body was about to fall apart, and he even had to endure the lightning strikes. It had to be said that it was too difficult. However, by supporting himself bit by bit, he could accumulate strength and strengthen his physical body. Su Yan had obviously gone through astonishing changes during the process. Nourished by the abundant heavenly materials and earthly treasures, the treasures in his body were opened one after another, making his body even more dazzling and shocking. His blood surged out of his body and spread around his body, making him look like a golden god who was in charge of the heavenly tribulation. Of course, the most important thing was that his indestructible body had finally reached the small success stage. Instantly, Su Yan's entire flesh shell turned golden and dazzling. He was like an indestructible god of war standing in the chaos, heavenly tribulation realm. His powerful physique destroyed many of the chaos lightning bolts that struck him. So strong, Su Yan was shocked. This was the indestructible body, a supreme physique at the small success stage. Once one possessed it in the immortal realm, they would have the shocking combat strength to kill true immortals. Even in the 10,000 races battlefield where geniuses filled the skies, there were only a limited number of such people. The indestructible body glowed. Not only did Su Yan's injuries improve, but his blood essence also became vigorous. Soon, the indestructible blood essence erupted, and his vitality was greatly improved. His physique was strengthening, and the vitality leaking out was vast and magnificent. There was no doubt that the life essence evolution and the indestructible body were activated almost at the same time, forging Su Yan's powerful physique and making his combat strength soar. He could definitely defeat true immortals with his physical body alone. I've finally reached this step. Su Yan clenched his fists tightly. A powerful aura leaked out, covering the sky and covering the earth as it surged in all directions. It destroyed a large amount of primal chaos lightning that struck down. Of course, even if the primal chaos lightning struck him, it would be very difficult for it to cause much damage to Su Yin. There was no doubt that a small success stage supreme physique was equivalent to a great killing weapon, tough and indestructible. His long golden hair draped over his shoulders like a golden god, overlooking the universe and filled with the strongest aura of his generation. However, in the next moment, Su Yan's body transformed once more. It was originally the indestructible body, but now it had completely changed. It was solemn and dignified, turning into a Zhang 6 golden body. It was like the Buddhist, the Li Vajra, intimidating the world. Indestructible body, Zhang 6 golden body. Two supreme physiques were gathered on Su Yan's body. It sounded like a fantasy story, but Su Yan indeed possessed them. In the next moment, his physique transformed once more, producing a 5-color treasure light. It was filled with a divine light that could destroy all things, and it could easily sweep down the great stars that filled the sky. What kind of physique was this? Su Yan was shocked. A new physique had appeared, and it was somewhat vague and mysterious. There was even a type of obstruction that made it difficult to unearth the greatest treasure. It made it difficult for Su Yan to completely grasp this type of physique. He felt that once this type of physique erupted, it could sweep down a bit of energy matter. Perhaps it could even sweep down a great killing weapon. Was it the same as being impervious to all techniques? It was very abnormal and outrageous. In the next moment, Su Yan's aura changed once more. He grew 2 heads and squeezed out 4 arms from his body. Su Yan angrily roared and turned into 3 heads and 6 arms. He was filled with the power of an unrivaled demonic god, shocking the world and making ghosts and gods weep. In a short period of time, he evolved 4 supreme physiques, and he even continued to evolve other supreme physiques. Bloodline. At this moment, Su Yan was shocked to discover that all of this originated from the influence of his bloodline. His bloodline was very special, and he even discovered that there were even greater treasures that could be unearthed. Perhaps he could evolve an even more terrifying physique. What was he going to evolve? Emperor physique? Immortal physique? Or other invincible physiques? In other words, Su Yan could evolve all the supreme physiques in the heavens. However, his bloodline talent was suppressed by the netherworld's seed demon, so he couldn't display its strongest effect. Su Yan was deeply shaken. Just what kind of misfortune had his bloodline experienced? Perhaps only the prehistoric Big Brother would understand. These used to be mine, but I lost them. My talent changed, but now I have it bit by bit. I have to cultivate it again and experience the difficulties. I should thank the netherworld's seed demon. Su Yan whispered. If he was in a perfect state and his strongest talent erupted, he could have everything. But Su Yan didn't experience any process. Now, he was enjoying everything that he obtained from risking his life. This was karma. This was a brilliant life. Although it was bloody, it was worth it. In the next moment, Su Yan's human aura dissipated. He turned into a normal person. His figure was tall and straight, and his black hair draped over his shoulders. He stood between heaven and earth. Although he had lost all kinds of physique phenomena, his physique was still a supreme physique. It was filled with a shocking pressure that shook the world. No matter how my physique changes, it will always return to the origin. Su Yan coldly shouted, "Perhaps this is the charm of the beginning sutra. I am the universe. The universe is me, and I am the universe. The source of all power originates from the source of the body." Boom! Su Yan stepped on the sky. The moment his aura leaked out, he charged towards the chaos tribulation. The heavenly tribulation had not completely dissipated, and it was already very difficult for it to pose a threat to Su Yan. After all, he was a void immortal now, not a true immortal. No matter how strong the void immortal's heavenly tribulation was, it couldn't be too heaven-defying. Now, he rose from the ground and charged towards the chaos tribulation, launching a fierce attack. Boom! In an instant, the calm, chaos, heavenly tribulation rumbled and spun violently. It was like a chaos millstone that destroyed the world, forming a supreme suppression that wanted to stop Su Yin. "What belongs to me? Come here." Su Yin roared into the sky. Golden blood rushed out from the top of his head, as if he had transformed into another Su Yin, charging towards the violent heavenly tribulation. Universe Initial Fist, a divine ability created by Su Yin. A figure formed by the light of blood essence was magnificent and peerless. It overturned everything. The lightning that filled the sky exploded, and a huge hole was formed in the chaos tribulation. Within Su Yan's body, the qi and blood that rose was too dense. It destroyed everything and directly opened the primal chaos heavenly tribulation. It was truly shocking. Who in the past had such divine strength to open the strongest heavenly tribulation of their generation? Boom! Su Yin rushed up, stretched out his hands, and tore apart the chaos tribulation. In the center of the chaos tribulation, there were rolling chaos treasured liquid. In the strongest heavenly tribulation, treasured liquid would be formed. Only the unique environment of the 10,000 races battlefield could form heavenly tribulation treasured liquid, which was equivalent to the highest reward for the challenger. Now, Su Yin had torn apart the chaos heavenly tribulation and entered the center of the heavenly tribulation, bathing in the rolling chaos treasured liquid. He stretched out his hand, scooped up drops of chaos treasured liquid, and quickly sealed them. This was the rare, treasured liquid born from the strongest heavenly tribulation. It was incomparably precious and could evolve the essence of life. It was of great help to Su Yin. Su Yan's aura was even more shocking. His cold eyes shot out divine light in all directions. His tall and straight body surged with blood essence like a tide. Even his primordial spirit was nourished by the chaos treasured liquid, becoming more stable and powerful. In short, this thing was of great help to Su Yin. It healed his injuries in a short time and pushed his aura to stand at the peak of his generation. It's over. Su Yan's harvest was too great. In the state of human Tao as one, his aura shook the galaxy, shook the stars, and his magic power overflowed. His peerless aura surged, and rolling lightning fell one after another. Su Yin directly refined it in a domineering manner, replenishing his accumulation. Breakthrough. What was even more ridiculous was that Su Yin erupted once again. He directly broke through to the 9th level of the immortal realm. This was an astonishing increase in strength, and it was completely a result of his accumulation. Su Yan's hair fluttered wildly, and his aura swallowed a bull. It was magnificent beyond compare. Ha ha ha! Su Yin looked up to the sky and laughed. He had succeeded, becoming a peerless void immortal. Bathing in the chaos-treasured liquid, he was almost at the peak of the immortal realm. Then Su Yin had also reached the time to fight for the position of the strongest in the space-time wormhole. From this moment on, the layers of chaos lightning began to dim and return to nothingness. No one realized that Su Yin had almost refined the entire chaos tribulation. In short, his foundation stood at the peak. Although he looked a little miserable and was covered in blood, his essence, qi, and spirit were too vigorous. Kill. Just as Su Yin appeared in the eyes of the world that had been reduced to scorched earth was covered by a shocking, killing light. In the distant world, a large number of experts charged over, their eyes filled with bone-chilling, killing intent. Another 5 true immortals of the sky bamboo lineage had come. Even the Xian people had sent 3 true immortals. A peerless treasure sword was unsheathed. The Xian people moved quickly. They wanted to kill Su Yin. After all, he had just finished transcending the tribulation, and he must have been severely injured. Now was the best time to kill him. The killing sword was bone-piercing and bright. It was too fast. It was so fast that it was difficult to track its movements. In an instant, the Xian people expert wielded the killing sword and stabbed it towards Su Yan's head. He wanted to pierce through his frontal bone. What a pity! It was a shocking scene. The heaven-defying Ingjia had endured the strongest chaos tribulation. Was he going to die just like that? Chapter 1494. The peerless killing sword spat out sword rays as it approached Su Yin. This was a fatal blow. The chaos tribulation had just ended, so Xia Kunlun must have been severely injured and exhausted. This was the best time to kill him. After all, Su Yin had survived the chaos tribulation. Once he recovered, he would definitely be a world-shaking true immortal. Such a character would never be allowed to grow, nor would he be given any chance to breathe. Well done. Who's attacking? We should reward them handsomely. In the outside world, at the various entrances of the 10,000 tribes battlefield, many experts from the immortal sects were watching the battle. Xian Tyrant of the Xian people came with a cold expression. Since Xia Kunlun was close to the young Devil King, it was very likely that he had the bloodline of the Celestial Court. In the 10,000 tribes battlefield, there were too few top-notch true immortals. Now, all the Void Immortals wanted to dominate the space-time wormhole and fight for the strongest seat. Hence, right now, no one would attempt to break through to the Immortal Dao realm. Otherwise, they would miss out on the greatest opportunity in the Myriad Tribes battlefield. Xia Kunlun's breakthrough had completely exceeded their expectations. Similarly, he had definitely been forced into a corner, which was why he had opened up the true immortal path. I'm not sure, an elder of the Xian people said with a smile, but once we capture this kid, we should be able to find more clues about the young Devil King. Maybe we can dig out the big fish that is the young Devil King through him. That's right. Xian Tyrant's expression was cold. He hated the Celestial Court to the core. Xian Huiyu died in the Xianwang universe, and his clone was also killed by Su Yin. Although Su Yin died in the darkness in the end, Xian Tyrant still couldn't let it go after all these years. There was a ball of fire in his heart that he had nowhere to vent. But what about this young Devil King? He had caused a great loss to the Xian people. He had to be captured alive. Whoosh! The killing sword blazed even brighter. The sword ray that it spat out had already sputtered onto Su Yan's forehead. Some people suspected that the killing power of the sword ray alone was enough to severely injure Xia Kunlun again. Bam! However, what made everyone tremble was that the billowing sword chi hit Su Yan's forehead with a sonorous sound. It was as if it had hit a divine iron and was indestructible. This was the supreme treasure body state. There was no need to transform at all. Su Yan's body was extremely tough, comparable to an immortal realm treasure. Even if the killing sword pierced Su Yan's forehead, it wouldn't cause much damage. Finally, the shocking scene fell into everyone's eyes. The killing sword pressed against Su Yan's forehead, but it did not break apart. Even though there was a trace of blood, it was blocked. Everyone was stupefied. Just how powerful was this physical body? It blocked the piercing of the immortal killing sword. Su Yan's eyes were cold. His long black hair danced in the wind. He stood between heaven and earth. His forehead shone, blocking the killing sword. The soul light that surged out shook the killing sword, and the Xian people's true immortal who wielded the killing sword also began to tremble. He felt that his primordial spirit and Su Yan's primordial spirit could not be compared. It was like a wild beast that had encountered a ferocious beast, only qualified to crawl and tremble. Boom! In an instant, Su Yan's body came back to life. Disturbed by the killing sword, it surged with a shocking power that illuminated the world. It was so dazzling that people couldn't even open their eyes. Heaven and earth were trembling, and the sun and moon were wailing. It was a shocking scene. That person was too terrifying. Just the 10,000 layers of divine light that flowed out of his body had shaken the Xian people's true immortals to the point that their chi and blood were in a mess. No! Then he felt fear. The figure charged straight at him. The blazing body burned with holy fire, bringing with it an unparalleled aura. It broke the killing intent that was pressing against his forehead. Moreover, it pounced on him one after another. Terrifying aura spread out, and everything was trembling. The Xian people's true immortals also went berserk. They erupted with their strongest power, using the immortal Dao order to protect their bodies. They also evolved great remarkable powers, wanting to stop his barbaric charge. But the moment they collided, the scene was terrifying. The immortal Tao order exploded, and it was like a thunderbolt had struck the Xian people's true immortal body. His entire body was torn to pieces, and then it exploded. A streak of bloody light sputtered. That figure shattered the true immortal's body and charged forward, emitting a powerful aura that suppressed the world. Everyone was silent. The Xian people's true immortal had been killed by him. Too violent, too barbaric. How terrifying. Many people were horrified. Cold chi surged all over their bodies and seeped out of their bodies. The onlookers were all trembling with fear. How powerful was this person? He had destroyed the Xian people's true immortal in a single blow. He was too powerful and outrageous. One had to know that this was an expert of the Xian people. Such domineering means of obliteration were truly unparalleled in the world. Gao Qi, one of the 3 Xian people's true immortals, was killed. The other 2 true immortals were so furious that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The leader, a female true immortal at the second firmament, was extremely furious. She said with grief and indignation, "Gao Qi, you bastard, are you tired of living?" Su Yan's cold expression gave the 4 true immortals of the heavenly bamboo lineage a headache. He had survived the chaos tribulation without any loss. Moreover, he was even stronger than before. This was beyond their expectations. The killing intent in his eyes grew even stronger. Xian people. Su Yan looked down at the 6 true immortals. Of course, his gaze was focused on the 2 Xian people's true immortals. He emanated a bone-chilling killing intent as he said coldly, "All of you deserve to die. Bastard, hand over your life." Xian Shinran was enraged. Although she was a female true immortal, her aura was quite shocking. She was at the second firmament of the true immortal realm. Her aura far exceeded that of the other true immortals present. Once she unleashed it, her entire body flowed with earth-shattering immortal might. Attacked together, seeing Xian Shinran leading the charge, the other 5 true immortals moved as well. Xia Kunlun's strength was undeniable. However, he was only one person. Could the 6 true immortals join forces and defeat Xia Kunlun, who had just stepped into the true immortal realm? On the scorched battlefield, immortal path storms raged between heaven and earth. Tens of thousands of storms charged towards Su Yan and began to suppress him. Whoosh! However, the figure they were targeting had thunderous footsteps that caused the universe to explode. He completely ignored the 4 true immortals of the sky bamboo bloodline and charged at Xian Shinran. Suppress. The 5 true immortals were enraged. They could see Su Yan's intentions. Wasn't he looking down on them too much? Almost instantly, the energy of the 5 true immortals surged, erupting with their strongest combat strength. They evolved great magical powers that blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they charged toward Su Yan to suppress him. Get lost. Along the way, Su Yan's aura erupted. In the state of human Tao as one, he stood at the peak of the void immortal realm. His entire body emanated boundless, ferocious aura. How terrifying. Who is it? The spectators in the distance were shocked. The figure charging over was too domineering. His golden blood was exuberant. Just the influence of his physical body alone surpassed that of the true immortals present. Even when he stood at the peak of his power, the sky darkened. Following that, golden blood flowed out of his body, drowning the entire space. He was like an invincible golden god as he let out a loud roar. All of you get lost. Su Yan's aura swallowed the starry sky. He wanted to traverse the entire space-time wormhole. With a roar, the mountains and rivers were shattered. The sun and moon were about to fall. The deafening roar echoed throughout the world, shocking the world and making ghosts and gods weep. One after another, the Xian people's true immortals trembled. Blood flowed out of their mouths and noses. Their guts were about to burst. Just how powerful was he? Even the true immortals could not resist him. Their bodies were about to be crushed by his roar. Along the way, all the energy and matter in his way exploded. In Su Yan's eyes, there were only the Xian people's experts. His body seemed to have transformed into an immortal sword that cut through all suppression. He waved his fist and punched at Xian Shinran. "Can I stop him?" Su Yan's awakening made Xian Shinran somewhat terrified. However, she was not afraid. After all, she was a second heaven true immortal. She had fully recovered. Immortal path runes surged in her body. Accompanied by the chanting of sutras, her combat strength soared to its peak. "Don't fight him head-on," another Xian people's true immortal cried out. Although Xian Shinran was powerful, Xia Kunlun's body was too ridiculous. If she was not careful, she would be injured. However, it was too late. Xian Shinran had already charged forward. She formed a fist seal and evolved a great ability that collided with Su Yan's fist. Boom! A loud explosion sounded, shattering the universe. The two fists collided with a mighty momentum. It was like the beating of a divine drum, spreading far and wide. There was also a splatter of bloody light. It was very dense and dyed the void red. In an instant, Xian Shinran trembled. She was suffocating. She felt like she was being suppressed by an invincible being. Her powerful life force was about to be obliterated. Even the sutras she circulated were completely suppressed. Her entire aura began to weaken. "Kill!" Su Yan roared. He unleashed an even more ferocious punch that covered the sky and suppressed forward. He punched again and again. His entire body surged with overflowing golden chi and blood, accompanied by exuberant immortal matter and powerful primordial spirit aura. The three types of energy merged together, causing the energy fluctuations that Su Yan emitted to be peerlessly powerful. Boom! Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. The divine might that erupted was magnificent and vast. In the end, it reached the peak of the sky and began to merge with the space-time wormhole. People found it hard to imagine how powerful he was. They even felt that he didn't seem like a true immortal, but an invincible young king. In the end, his fist completely erupted. Blood splattered in the world, and the void exploded. Xian Shinran's fist exploded. Her powerful true immortal body was also obliterated by Su Yan's domineering life force. She exploded into a bloody mist. No, Xian Shinran's primordial spirit fled in fear. She didn't expect her body to be destroyed. She felt that Xia Kunlun had a supreme treasure body. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such powerful killing power. Unfortunately, before her primordial spirit could fly out, it was torn apart by the divine light that bloomed from Su Yan's cold eyes. Everyone was stunned. The second true immortal had been killed by him in a bloody manner. Even Xian Shinran, who was a second firmament true immortal, had been beaten into a bloody mist. The true immortals of the Xian people are too useless. Su Yan's words were cold. His cold eyes shone with divine light. Vast amounts of blood essence rose from the top of his head and pierced through the space-time wormhole. At this moment, the wormhole finally underwent a change. A blurry figure slowly appeared. As it moved toward the great region, it began to appear. "Heaven and earth, heed my command. Urgent as the law. Come quickly." Chapter 1495. Even the sky collapsed, unable to seal Su Yan's aura. A drop of essence blood pierced through the sky and rushed into the space-time wormhole. Without a doubt, one had to be at the immortal realm to be the strongest. Once one surpassed this realm, the space-time wormhole wouldn't record it. Currently, there were only a few hundred space-time wormholes in the entire 10,000 tribes battlefield where the Dharma idol of an unparalleled prodigy could be seen. Of course, it would take at least a year to completely appear in the space-time wormhole. During this time, they would also have to withstand the challenges of various top overlords. Once they failed, their spots would be taken away. The competition for the strongest 10,000 spots was too cruel. Once they succeeded, they would definitely enjoy the baptism of supreme creation. In the process, they would also open up a super powerful immortal path and enter the true immortal realm. In fact, there were many prodigies and overlords who were qualified, but they didn't want to stand out too much for fear of being targeted by invincible kings. Su Yin was surprised. He looked at the space-time wormhole and caught a feeling from the majestic space-time, urging him to merge with the space-time wormhole. Was it about to start? However, Su Yin wasn't in a hurry. He still hadn't figured out where to start the fight for supremacy. He still wanted to go to the Immortal Tribe, the Odd Heaven sect, or the Underworld to fight for supremacy in the space-time wormholes occupied by other factions. As long as he could kill the unparalleled prodigy of the Xian people, Su Yin would be qualified to be one of the top 10,000. Now, the images shown in the space-time wormhole were blurry and obscure. It was difficult for people to see the changes clearly. "Who are you?" The only remaining true immortal of the Xian people shouted angrily. The ending was too different from what they had imagined. They had thought that by suppressing Xia Kunlun, they could interrogate the origin of the young Devil King. But now, Xia Kunlun alone was going to sweep the field. The Xian people had lost 2 true immortals, and the remaining one was furious. Shameful, too shameful. They had taken the initiative to attack, but they were beaten to a pulp. He even realized that this wasn't Xia Kunlun's strongest state, because this person hadn't unleashed the power of an immortal path since the beginning. Then, what level was his strongest combat power at? It was simply unimaginable. The person who killed you. Su Yan's cold eyes stared at the remaining genuine immortal of the Xian people. Compared to the hatred of the Xian people, Tianzhu was nothing. He stuck close to the ground and dove down. Along the way, sand and pebbles were sent flying. The sky shook and the earth trembled. The vast expanse of scorched earth rumbled along with him. Not good. The purple-robed, true immortal's face changed drastically. Su Yin was simply too decisive. He was completely unscrupulous as he charged straight at him. As powerful as he was, even though he was a true immortal, when he saw Su Yin charging towards him, his heart trembled in fear. He growled, "Let's attack together and stop him. The experts of our race will be here soon. Someone will suppress this person." The 4 true immortals of the Sky Bamboo lineage were well aware of how terrifying Xia Kunlun was. Therefore, the moment he charged over, the 5 true immortals immediately joined forces. Boom! The scorched earth trembled violently. The violent energy fluctuations attracted everyone's attention. In the next moment, everyone was shocked. In this vast space-time, a terrifying vision was born. The blood-red light covered the sun, and a vast aura of calamity rose. As blood-red runes bloomed, it was soul-stirring. The 5 true immortals were engulfed and covered by the blood-red light. It was difficult to see their figures clearly. In the next moment, a figure rose from the ground, surging with an even more domineering combat strength. He controlled the blood-red world and pushed an earth-shattering power towards the Xian people's true immortal. The true immortal screamed and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. It was difficult for him to stop Su Yin. Even if the 5 true immortals joined forces, Su Yan's divine abilities and secret techniques were superb. He temporarily suppressed the 4 true immortals. A shrill scream exploded. This was a shocking scene. Su Yin had beheaded the true immortal. With a flick of his finger, he blasted apart the head of the 3rd true immortal of the Xian people. The blood-red light that filled the sky also retreated. The world regained its tranquility. The smell of blood was very thick. The heavens above and the earth below were silent. There was only one figure who was majestic and imposing. He carried the head of the Xian people in his hand. He was extremely tall and flowed with world-shocking power that made people's hearts tremble. What a terrifying young man. Who exactly is he? The spectators in the distance trembled with fear. The 3 true immortals of the Xian people had all been killed. They were even killed with bloody and violent methods. This couldn't help but make people feel apprehensive. Just how powerful was this person? Is it another young demon king? I heard his name is Xia Kunlun, an outer disciple of the Sky Bamboo lineage. According to the information I received, he infiltrated the Sky Bamboo lineage and stole many great fortunes. What kind of joke is this? There's such a thing? The experts gathered here were all dumbstruck. This person infiltrated the sky bamboo lineage and was even an outer disciple of the clan? What kind of joke was this? Was there such a ridiculous thing? Outside the 10,000 tribes battlefield, the atmosphere at some entrances was extremely oppressive. Even the peak true immortals were trembling in fear. The patriarchs of the Sien people were furious. Although they were silent, the shocking flames in their bodies burned, causing them to retreat and stay away from him. It was very obvious. The Sien people were furious. They hadn't even seen the shadow of the young demon king. But Xia Kunlun had already killed 3 true immortals of the Sien people. In fact, the most furious ones were the sky bamboo lineage. Their losses were too heavy. 10 true immortals were wiped out. Now, Xia Kunlun had attacked 4 immortal Dao experts. How terrifying was he? Unless an immortal Dao realm 3rd heaven expert stepped forward, no one could suppress him. Kill! Su Yan's long roar exploded. He couldn't let any of them go. With a shocking pressure, he rushed forward and fought with the 4 true immortals. Boom! In a short period of time, a peak collision erupted here. Between heaven and earth, 4 immortal Dao secret treasures were summoned, and the strongest state of the 4 true immortals erupted. It had to be said that this was very shocking. It formed a long river of immortal Dao, and the storm was monstrous. It could easily tear the entire space and time apart. This was the suppression. Su Yan's body shook a little. However, his aura became more and more ferocious. His fist was like a rainbow, and with a bang, he hammered a large furnace. The furnace immediately caved in, and then it flew out. Su Yan grunted. A large seal smashed on his back, causing Su Yan's body to stagger and almost fall. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. However, Su Yan was still. His eyes were cold as he aimed at one of the true immortals to suppress. His posture was too wild. Once he used his peak combat strength, the targeted true immortal was terrified. His protective secret treasures were sent flying, and the true immortal's body began to collapse. It's definitely a supreme treasure body. But why is there no phenomenon? What kind of constitution does he have? Sending an immortal Dao secret treasure flying with a single fist, that must be one of the characteristics of a supreme treasure body. Even though I can't tell what kind of constitution it is definitely not simple. Everyone was in an uproar. If it wasn't for this kind of constitution, how could Su Yan withstand the immortal Dao treasure's cruel suppression? Even though his body was shaken, it really was difficult to injure his foundation. In the end, one of the 4 true immortals was killed by Su Yan. He was bathed in blood and went crazy, full of heroic spirit. He looked down on the 3 true immortals, his killing intent surging. The 3 true immortals scalped, feeling alarmed. If they didn't leave now, they would all die here. However, if a single Xia Kunlun killed a true immortal of the sky bamboo lineage and forced them to flee, this would be a great humiliation for the entire clan. All of a sudden, a strange sound was heard. Su Yan's face darkened as he sensed danger. He began to retreat quickly. However, in the next moment, a heavy aura assaulted his face, as if the Milky Way of the 9 heavens was pouring down. Below, great stars of the universe were revolving, terrifying beyond compare. Suppress. A soft shout was heard. It was very soft, coming from a woman with a light temperament. She bent her finger, and the star bracelet on her snow-white wrist flew out. It instantly enlarged and became countless times more terrifying. This was a star bracelet, and 108 great stars of the universe were woven on it. It was in the form of the stars of the heavens, and it instantly suppressed. Heavens, this is the celestial star divine chain. Someone exclaimed, it's even woven with 108 stars. How extravagant. Who is it? It's her, one of the Sien people's 10 heroes, Sien Bailing. Everyone was in an uproar. This was the proud daughter of the Sien people, and also a powerful void immortal. Not only did she come, but there were also 2 true immortals by her side. If one sensed carefully, they would find that the 2 true immortals were like immortal Dao monsters. 3 layers of immortal Tao light were enough to drown out the universe. Third heaven immortal Tao experts, and 2 of them came at once. Everyone was shocked. The Xian people were indeed Xian people. They had already cultivated third heaven true immortals, and they were not comparable to the previous true immortals. They must have taken immortal medicine, or else they would not be able to break through to the third heaven of the true immortal realm in such a short time. Stop struggling. Xian Bailing's appearance was extraordinary, and her skin was snow white. She stood high and looked down at Su Yan. She said arrogantly, "The celestial star divine chain was forged by my tribe's Daoyuo, true immortals. It is a rare treasure, and it contains the layout of the heavens. Once bound, there is no escape." She was right. This thing was extremely powerful, and Su Yan was in danger. The celestial star divine chain descended, accompanied by many great stars of the universe. When it started to rotate, its aura became violent, surrounding Su Yan and suppressing him. The power of the celestial star divine chain scattered down, making Su Yan feel as if he was carrying the blue sky. The Xian people are false immortals. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Xian Bailing. This was the genius of his tribe. Whether it was her status or identity, she surpassed Xian Hongshen. "I don't care who you are. You kill my tribe's true immortals, so you can't escape death." Xian Bailing raised her sparkling chin and said arrogantly, "However, if you can tell me the whereabouts of my tribe's wanted criminal, the young Devil King, I can make the decision for you and save your life." At this point, Xian Bailing's eyes emitted a bone-chilling light. The young Devil King had dealt a heavy blow to the Xian people. More than 100 top experts had died in battle, and 2 Daoyuo true immortals had died. They had also lost their supreme treasure, the immortal cauldron. This debt was too great. If they could capture the young Devil King alive, it would be a great contribution. "Ha, well done." Su Yan looked up to the sky and laughed. He didn't expect the Xian people to have a young false immortal and a beautiful woman. Su Yan's beast blood boiled, and his aura surged. The moment the beginning sutra was released, a vast wave of the great Tao flowed out, suppressing the stars in the sky, making them dim and unstable. "What the hell is that?" Suddenly, the outside trembled as they noticed that the space-time wormhole was changing. As Su Yan went berserk, the space-time wormhole gathered more and more of his aura, outlining a magnificent figure. How is this possible? When he saw that it was Su Yan who had triggered the space-time wormhole, his scalp almost exploded. Could it be that he wasn't a true immortal, but a false immortal? Even the celestial star divine chain had been broken by that person. He had used the power of the beginning of all things and the eye of heaven escape to break the field and suppress the immortal Tao. "Kill!" Su Yan roared and grabbed the celestial star divine chain. When he waved it, it was as if he was waving the entire starry sky. It was quite barbaric and violent. As Su Yan burst out to an astonishing state, the blurry figure standing in the space-time wormhole was like a war immortal, shining with unparalleled heavenly power, looking down on all living things and dominating the past and present. Chapter 1496. In the outside world, tens of thousands of passageways were surrounded by chaos. Experts were entrenched, and even the auras of supreme ancestors were faintly discernible. At this moment, they were all startled. They stared at a certain space-time wormhole. It was as if a war immortal was being nurtured inside. A shocking figure was awakening, as if breathing the entire region. It was quite ridiculous. Another peerless prodigy is illuminating the space-time wormhole. Which race is it from? It's truly a prosperous era. In the history of the Emperor Road, it's already very impressive for a few dozen peerless prodigies to illuminate a region to appear in a month. But now, more than 100 of them have appeared. The heroes discussed heatedly. There was no doubt that a large number of these 100 would enter the top 100 in the future Emperor ranking contest. They might even try to break through to an even more terrifying rank. Let me see who it is. In a short period of time, pairs of eyes opened in the chaos, spying on the path to heaven. Without a doubt, Their battle strength was quite terrifying. They could directly see the changes in the path to heaven with their heavenly eyes. In the direction of the source, the figure illuminating the region, it was becoming more and more intense. And they found out who was illuminating the region under the space-time wormhole. The celestial battle divine chain is a rare, immortal treasure. I'm afraid it's a peerless genius nurtured by some immortal orthodoxy. Something's not right. He's targeting a girl. She looks familiar. She seems to be the Cien people's Cien Bailing. Everyone discussed heatedly. Some of the top void immortals were well known. There were only 2 women in the Cien people's 10 prodigies, and they were both famous heavenly prodigies. Cien Bailing was very famous. She was a female heavenly prodigy of the Cien people. Many prosperous, immortal orthodoxies had brought their most outstanding disciples to the Cien people to propose marriage. Therefore, the older generation was not unfamiliar with her. But what was the situation now? The young man in the space-time wormhole was targeting Cien Bailing. Then, they were all shocked because this young man's methods were quite violent and barbaric. He grabbed the celestial battle divine chain and attacked fiercely. This was too fierce and savage. Cien Bailing was not an ordinary person. She had many protectors. Who would dare to attack her so violently? Was he not afraid of becoming a public enemy? He's not a true immortal at all. He's illuminating the great domain. He's actually Cien Tyran, and the other Cien people's old ancestors were both shocked and furious. Now that the situation had developed to this point, it was really serious. Xia Kunlun was actually not a true immortal, but a false immortal. False immortal. Heavens, he is a false immortal, not a true immortal. The experts of the sky bamboo branch growled, their faces ashen. Xia Kunlun was actually a hollow immortal. A hollow immortal who had killed more than 10 true immortals in succession? What a joke. The whole world was in an uproar. Only false immortals were qualified to fuse with the space-time wormhole. In that case, Xia Kunlun was a false immortal and not a true immortal. However, a hollow immortal had killed more than 10 true immortals. Even the older generation was trembling in fear. Could it be that another peerless genius had been born in the celestial court? Boom! Su Yan's aura could devour rivers and mountains. He wielded the celestial star chains in a wild manner, and his aura became even more shocking. It was as if he was wielding a vast sea of stars that contained many great stars in the heavens. They came crashing down on Cien Bailing from all directions. This killing intent was too shocking. It was as if the galaxy had collapsed and swept through everything in its path. It was unstoppable. Cien Bailing's beautiful eyes widened. Her snow-white skin shone with divine light. She looked quite holy. However, she was flustered and exasperated. Her towering chest heaved violently. How could this be? He was only a hollow immortal, but he had suppressed the celestial star chains and even used it against her. Brat, how dare you? Cien Bailing's 2 protectors had cold expressions. After all, they were 3rd-level true immortals. Once they released their auras, they would display the shocking combat strength of the immortal Dao realm. The 2 of them were not comparable to the true immortals Su Yin had killed before. In the true immortal realm, each stage was more difficult than the last. The difference was similar to the immortal realm. When the 2 3rd-level true immortals revived, their immortal auras were released. The might forcibly suppressed the heavenly star battle divine chain, causing it to dim. It was about to be suppressed. Die! Come here! Su Yin let out a violent roar. He was like a great demon opening his cold eyes. He stared at Cien Bailing as if she was his prey. Under Su Yan's gaze, goosebumps appeared on Cien Bailing's snow-white skin. She felt disgusted and also a little shocked. To be able to reflect a space-time wormhole, he was definitely a supreme overlord. Boom! Boom! 2 loud explosions sounded. Under the shocked gazes of the people, Su Yin rose from the ground. He waved the celestial star chains with his left hand and the heaven and earth bracelet with his right. These 2 rare treasures were rare treasures of the Cien people. B*****. The 2 true immortals of the Cien people were furious. These were the secret treasures of their race. Now that he had them, they were used against the experts of the Xian people. Suppress. Su Yin pushed the two treasures, the heaven and earth bracelet and the celestial star chains, toward the two true immortals. Along the way, the two treasures were at their strongest state. The bracelet was huge and hit one of the true immortals. As for the celestial star chains, it was even more shocking than Xian Bailing's. It reshaped the pattern of the stars and created a world to suppress the second true immortal. Misrun. The two true immortals were shocked. They were suppressed again. Although they could break through the two treasures, it was difficult to do so in a short time. During this time, Su Yin might severely injure Xian Bailing. One of the Xian people's false immortals died at the hands of the young Devil King. They were already disgraced. If Xia Kunlun killed another one, the consequences would be severe. Although Xian Bailing was a false immortal prodigy, she knew that she was no match for Su Yin. She quickly retreated and took out a time and space diagram. She stepped on the time and space diagram and flew toward the distant world. "Stay!" Su Yin shouted excitedly, as if he had found a beautiful prey. The energy in his body surged and flooded the entire space. Then it burst out, shaking the time and space diagram until it was about to shatter. Boom! At the same time, Su Yan's large hand reached over and suppressed Xian Bailing. "Bastard, do you think I can't stop a good-for-nothing from a defeated clan?" Xian Bailing was furious. Her beautiful eyes were wide open. Chanting sounds came from her body. Her body and primordial spirit erupted. She stood at the false immortal realm and created a great divine ability. A large seal covered the sky, shining brilliantly. A large immortal seal with a grand and ancient aura, so heavy that it crushed the void, smashing towards Su Yan's large hand. Boom! However, Su Yan's hand was like a giant palm that could encompass the entire world. He secretly circulated an immeasurable amount of strength, and the golden hand covered the entire sky. It was boundlessly vast, and just like that, it pressed down, causing the immortal imprint to explode. Not good. Xian Bailing was alarmed. They weren't in the same domain at all, but as the large golden hand descended, she felt suffocated. Breathing was difficult, blood flowing out from her mouth and nose. Once she was suppressed, she would either die or be seriously injured. She was also extremely decisive. She activated a silver talisman. The instant it exploded, an ancient space-time aura spread out, accompanied by the light of time. It opened up space-time, opening up a deep space-time tunnel. Someone sighed in admiration, as expected of the Xian people's heavenly talents. This was an immortal Tao-level space-time breaking talisman, extremely precious. It opened up a space-time tunnel that not only connected to a distant place, it also contained world-shocking defenses. Right when half of Xian Bailing's foot was about to enter the space-time tunnel, heaven and earth changed, indescribably terrifying. It was as if the heavens opened their eyes, suffusing with the dignity of judging all life. Two world-shocking rays of light erupted from Su Yan's cold eyes, instantly locking onto Xian Bailing. During this process, she suffered the suppression of heaven and earth, continuously coughing out blood. Wah! Everyone was shocked. What was this? The heavenly talent of the Xian people couldn't stop Xia Kunlun at all. She was directly suppressed, and she didn't even have time to break through the escape door that she had opened. "Stop it, you bastard!" The two level 3 true immortals roared. They both burned their true immortal bodies, bombarding the two immortal treasures until they trembled and were about to be overturned. But no matter how loud they roared, they couldn't help Xian Bailing now. "Heavenly Bamboo, if anything happens to the young mistress, your clan won't be able to escape the blame." The two true immortals were extremely anxious. Heavenly Bamboo still had 3 true immortals here, but they didn't attack, mainly because they were afraid and worried that they would lose their lives. This sentence forced the 3 true immortals to attack. Xian Bailing's identity was too noble. If something happened to her, their clan would have to face the wrath of the Xian people. If you dare to take a step forward, kill. But just as they took a small step, a black figure appeared. With the immortal slaying sword on his back, he was as cold as a god as he looked down at the three true immortals. Young Devil King. The entire place was in an uproar. A legendary figure had appeared. This person was truly infamous. Just based on the series of major incidents he had done, he was definitely a terrifying leader, even more ferocious than Xia Kunlun. Once this type of character appeared, the experts occupying the various entrances in the outside world all sighed in admiration. The Imperial Court's bloodline produced two matchless heavenly geniuses in succession, and there was even a mysterious, imperishable body. This was a sign that they were about to rise from the ashes. This clan had been silent for millions of years. Young Devil King, give me your life. In the distant world, holy light surged. A golden flag exploded, flowing with holy light. The moment the huge flag pressed down, the starry sky was covered. It's the Xian people's war flag. The Xian people have set up an ambush here. Looks like they want to kill the young Devil King. The crowd was shocked. Even though they were so far away, they still couldn't bear it. As the flag descended from the sky, it crushed layers of small worlds, creating a scene of mountains collapsing and seas splitting. Su Yin was shocked. This treasure was incomparably powerful. As the flag shone, it was as if millions of immortal mountains were pressing down. It could easily crush immortal Dao experts to death. Wang. On the other side, brilliant divine light shone, illuminating heaven and earth, piercing one's soul to the point of splitting. An ancient mirror shone, shooting out a dusky beam of light that wanted to kill the true immortal soul. Immortal vast habitat, the Xian people are truly generous. For the sake of killing the young Devil King, they actually used two of their most powerful imitations. The Xian people's war flag and the immortal vast habitat. Even though they were both imitations, their power was exceptional. It wasn't something Su Yan's heaven and earth bracelet could compare to. This was a powerful killing weapon. Young Devil King, you're finally willing to come out. This time, let's see where you can run to. Evil creature, your sins are too great. Dying 10,000 times isn't enough to appease my hatred. From the surrounding worlds, large amounts of Xian people rushed over. Their hearts were burning with rage. What was Xia Kunlun? The one they wanted to kill was the young Devil King, a ruthless person who made the Xian people lose all face. Thousands upon thousands of Xian people turned into a flood of steel, unstoppable. From this moment on, Su Yin stretched out his arm and captured Xian Biling alive. How dare you? The Xian people were furious. They had cruel smiles on their faces. So what if they captured Xian Biling alive? Could Su Yin escape? The entire surrounding world had already been sealed by the Xian people. Su Yin wouldn't be able to escape even if he had wings. Su Yan's black hair danced in the wind. His eyes were like lightning. His entire body emitted an aura that merged with the space-time wormhole. In a short period of time, the entire region rose and fell with it. Boom! Countless people were stunned. What great boldness! This was the sign of swallowing the entire region. Everyone seemed to have seen an unrivaled emperor illuminating the entire region, occupying the most powerful position. Do you think the Xian people are so great? Come here and die. I'll kill all of you. Su Yin rose into the air and stood at the peak of the heavens. His majestic figure emitted a shocking heavenly might as he looked down on all life in the universe. Chapter 1497. Su Yin rose from the ground. His energy erupted, illuminating the world with boundless divine might. His divine might could swallow the entire region, looking down on all living beings and intimidating the world. His majestic appearance was extremely majestic. All the living beings in this vast region had to bow down and worship this figure. Top 10,000 geniuses, the supreme Overlord. The entire place was in an uproar. Everyone could see this man who could swallow the entire region, dominating the heavens. His posture was quite shocking. One had to know that this was the territory of the sky bamboo lineage. From a moment Su Yin erupted until now, the Sky Bamboo lineage's void immortal experts had not made any moves, nor did they have any intention of interrupting Su Yin. Xia Kunlun, Zhu Jiang roared. This was a great humiliation. He wanted nothing more than to rush up and beat up Su Yin. This was the territory of the Sky Bamboo lineage, but Xia Kunlun had illuminated the entire region here. He was completely challenging the entire Sky Bamboo lineage. Who could withstand it? However, the result was obvious. He had swallowed the entire region and resonated with the space-time wormhole. Therefore, a shocking pressure descended and swept across the entire region. All the young geniuses were terrified and wanted to bow down and worship this figure. Did he really think that the top 10,000 was simple? There had been an incident where billions of living beings had bowed down to him. He had completely dominated a large region and enjoyed the endless baptism of fortune. He had broken through the shackles of the immortal Tao realm. In a short period of time, he could build a shocking foundation. In the future, this group of people would climb to the peak of the true immortal realm at an extremely fast speed, leaving Angjia in the dust. Although there would be more cruel struggles in the future and the danger of death, to be able to stand in the top 10,000 of the Emperor ranking and dominate a large region was already a magnificent feat that brought glory to one's ancestors. Let him be proud for a while. I will personally kill him and make him regret coming to this world. Zhu Yanghua was really restless. He wanted nothing more than to kill Su Yin right now. He had confidence and certainty. The Sky Bamboo root in his body was an item of his ancestors. Once he used it, he believed that he could kill a shocking enemy. But right now, Zhu Songhua had an even more important matter to attend to. His family had brought over a bamboo leaf that was supported by a powerful artifact. A jade green bamboo leaf flowed with the most powerful divine might in the world. It was like the most powerful fluctuations from the past, present, and future, and it was extremely shocking. This was a bamboo leaf from the primogenitor's true body. Once it descended, it was enough to suppress and kill world-shocking figures. I want to reopen the land of fortune. He released a low roar and used the Sky Bamboo root to revive the bamboo leaf. He urged the bamboo leaf to release a radiance that pierced through the spatial door created by the ancestor. Boom! Sure enough, the tightly shut ancestral gate began to rumble on its own. The silent gate was about to be knocked away by the bamboo leaf. Ha ha ha, it works! That's great. As long as we can reopen the primogenitor's fortune grounds. Who cares about Xia Kunlun? So what if he was the young Devil King? In the future, the top 10 of the Monarch ranking board will all have a place in it. That's right, this is a heaven-sent opportunity. Zhu Songhua, you must grasp this shocking fortune. When you come out of seclusion, you will be the future saint's son of our family. The group of elders were excited. They also wanted to suppress Xia Kunlun, but the matter at hand was more important and they could not care about anything else. Even if Su Yin temporarily dominated a large region, this was nothing. In the future, he would still be able to tear apart Xia Kunlun's projection. Zhu Songhua was also excited. He felt that after a few more attempts, he would be able to reopen the primogenitor's fortune grounds. The fortune is still mine in the end. You dare to compete with me for it? Xia Kunlun, you probably didn't expect that I could open the primogenitor's fortune grounds. Zhu Songhua was in a good mood. When he saw Zhu Yao nearby, his face sank and he shouted, "What are you still doing here? The family has ordered you to leave immediately. Don't you understand the family lord's order?" Zhu Yao's expression dimmed, and her fighting spirit was greatly damaged. She felt that her future was bleak. Zhu Songhua's words made her clench her fists. Flames of anger burned in her eyes as her chest heaved up and down. She roared in her heart, "Who the hell are you?" Bamboo Moon was actually still alive and had even stepped into the primogenitor's fortune grounds. This was a huge blow to Zhu Yao. Back in the day, she was the leader of the Sky Bamboo lineage in the Xianwang universe. She could do whatever she wanted. She had also harbored a vicious heart and dug out Bamboo Moon's Sky Bamboo Law projection seed. And the result? Bamboo Moon was not dead. In fact, she was still alive. Xia Kunlun had even stood out and risked his life to open the primogenitor's fortune grounds and send her inside. All of this made Zhu Yao so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. Why didn't she kill Bamboo Moon back then? Why didn't she eliminate the source of trouble? Otherwise, things wouldn't have been so bad. I can't go back. Otherwise, the family will punish me severely. Zhu Yao's expression was cold. The Supreme Ancestor had taken out a primogenitor's item to open the primogenitor's space. The price was too great. Even if she could reopen the primogenitor's fortune grounds, it had nothing to do with her. Who are you? Are you the person who died? Who is Xia Kunlun? Who is the young Devil King? Zhu Yao's emotions really exploded. Her mournful eyes stared at the majestic figure that was about to intertwine with the space-time wormhole. His shocking words also shook the entire place. Many onlookers were petrified and thought that they had heard wrong. Was this guy crazy? Did he not know how many experts the Xian people had killed? Even the Xian people's war flag and the immortal vast habitat, two rare imitations of supreme treasures, had come. Not to mention the peak void immortals. Even peak true immortals would be wary of these things. Evil creature. The Xian people's experts roared. Murderous light flashed in their eyes. They wanted to tear Xia Kunlun apart. Save me. Save me. Xian Bailing was scared out of her wits. She was captured alive. Su Yan's hand held her tightly, making it difficult for her to struggle. She was also humiliated. She was the young void immortal of the Xian people, the pride of the heavens. Now, she was captured alive in front of everyone. The Xian people's face was completely lost because of her. Let her go, and you can die less easily. The Xian people's experts didn't dare to act rashly. They were worried that Su Yin would kill Xian Bailing. It's not impossible to let her go. Su Yin smiled brightly and said, but you have to pay a price. Price? The Xian people's experts gathered. The expert holding the war flag said coldly, what do you want? Let you go. The young Devil King has already escaped. You better pray that the young Devil King didn't run too far away. Otherwise, you won't have a good ending. My condition is simple, Su Yin said coldly. Give me the head of your young paragon, and I'll let her go. In the sky and on the ground, everywhere was dead silent. Countless people felt a chill down their spines. This lunatic, didn't he know who the young paragon of the Xian people was? There was already news that the young paragon of the Xian people was qualified to be the top 3 on the monarch rankings. He would definitely be qualified to be the paragon of the monarch rankings in the future. Moreover, the leaders of the 10 heroes of the Xian people were extremely powerful. One of them had already gone through the space-time wormhole. They would definitely be ranked among the top 10,000 in the future. With the strength of the Xian people, they would probably be ranked among the top 10,000 in this generation. They admitted that Xia Kunlun was strong, but it was still difficult for him to compete with the strongest of the Xian people, Ingjie. As for the young paragon of the Xian people, what kind of existence was he? He was extremely powerful and was known as the invincible war god. You lunatic! The expert in charge of the Xian vast habitat exploded. He directly waved the ancient stone mirror, and a torrential soul storm rose. The souls of the onlookers in the distance trembled, as if they had fallen into purgatory. Listen up, all of you. I'll take Xian Bailing with me for a while. When the Xian people have thought it through, you can come and find me. In an instant, Su Yin rose from the ground like a peerless Kuan Peng. He soared 100,000 feet into the sky and then forcefully opened the space-time wormhole with an intimidating aura. Roar! Su Yin let out a long roar. The light of qi and blood that flowed out of his body tore the space-time path apart. His aura surged to the extreme. It was truly unprecedented. Su Yin forcefully opened a path and stepped out of the path to heaven, leaving the world with a magnificent back view. What? The whole place was in an uproar again. Some people's hearts couldn't take it anymore. It was too difficult to forcefully open the path to heaven in such a manner. No one had thought that Su Yin would use such a violent method to leave this region. How terrifying was this person's combat strength? Could it be that he was qualified to be in the top 100 of the monarch rankings? Preposterous. The Cien people's army gathered. The experts flew across the sky. It was like a chaotic dance of gods and demons. They were going to battle the heavens. After all, the young Devil King was about to be executed. Xia Kunlun, who was related to him, was also about to be captured alive. But now, something big had happened. Suyin had left in a peerless manner. What was even more embarrassing was that no one could track him down. Some people were so angry that they almost vomited blood. If they had known this would happen, they would have let the young kings of the Cien people come. There was a limit to what could be done by forcefully opening the path to heaven. Of course, it wasn't difficult to do so. The prerequisite was that the formation in the ancient city could open a tunnel through the path to heaven. But it was too difficult to forcefully open it. My heart aches. The heaven and earth bracelet and the celestial star chain are two unique treasures. We lost them just like that. There were also murmurs of heartache. The onlookers were dumbfounded. Someone scratched his head. You speak as if these treasures belong to you. In short, they were really speechless. The two great treasures were taken by him, yet he was still feeling heartache. This was really deranged. Fortunately, we captured the female geniuses of the Cien people alive. This trip was quite fruitful. Murmurs of excitement could be heard. The onlookers here were dumbstruck. Cien Bailing was captured alive by him. She was a noble daughter of the Cien people, a female void immortal. She was captured alive by this demon. The people of the world couldn't imagine what would happen next. Chase after him. Issue the strongest kill order. We must find him. The true immortal of the Cien people cried out mournfully. There was nothing he could do now. He could only wait for the supreme overlord of his race to take action and kill Xia Kunlun on the path to heaven. There's also the young Devil King. He definitely didn't run too far. Find him even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. The entire world was in chaos. The experts of the various races in the outside world were all speechless. This was truly a ruthless person. He directly left through the path to heaven. No one knew where he was going. This matter was very big. It was like a thunderclap that continued to spread to the distant world. Xia Kunlun's name would probably spread to the dozens of regions nearby. Suyin had left. But what he never expected was that Zhu Songhua used a bamboo leaf of the sky bamboo ancestor to open the ancestor space again. The moment the ancient green passage opened, Zhu Songhua cried out excitedly. He was extremely excited as he charged toward the ancestor space of fortune. Important meeting. How should we deal with Cien Bailing? After all, she's a noble daughter of the Cien people. It's a pity to kill her. Important notice. Qing Tian is attending a friend's wedding. He's also going to the bridal chamber. I'm afraid he won't return tonight. Don't wait for me tonight. Chapter 1498. The ancient primogenitor's passageway flowed with an ancient and vast divine might, as if the primogenitor was still alive. This scene caused the hearts of the sky bamboo experts to surge. They all worshipped the primogenitor's space devoutly. Someone roared. Although our race is ruled by the Celestials, primogenitor, you have already fallen. Our sky bamboo lineage has been declining these years. I hope primogenitor can give all the good fortune to Zhu Songhua and restore our race's glory and legend. These words were somewhat disgraceful. It had to be said that these true immortals were bold to say that the sky bamboo lineage was ruled by the Celestials in front of the primogenitor's space. In any case, the primogenitor who had fallen 1,000,000 years ago could not still be alive. The race's most outstanding disciple, Zhu Songhua, had obtained the primogenitor's supreme material, the sky bamboo root. He had cultivated the sky bamboo dharma idol and had great hopes of walking the path of the primogenitor again. This was incredible for the future of the sky bamboo lineage. He, Zhu Songhua, might become the supreme Ingjia who created glory and legend in the future. Once he became a primogenitor, it would be a heaven-defying feat that would shake the entire undying heavenly domain and leave behind a legend. I'm coming. Zhu Songhua excitedly rushed into the passageway and arrived at an ancient world. At first, Zhu Songhua's heart was not calm. Killing intent leaked out. He wanted to kill Bamboo Moon, kill the woman who should have died in Xianwang universe. In the end, the scene in this space-time was beyond his expectations. He couldn't find any trace of Zhu Yu, and his mind was soon drawn to a bamboo forest that was rooted in the void of space-time. The bamboo forest did not look large, but when one looked through it, it was as if one could see billions of sky bamboos shining. They flowed with a supreme aura and intertwined with supreme laws. The pressure made Zhu Songhua tremble and suffocate. Zhu Songhua was shocked. He quickly recalled the contents of a secret tome in his family's treasury. He looked at the vast bamboo forest again, and his heart trembled. Could this be the strongest treasure of my race, the sky bamboo forest? He lost control of his emotions and let out a low roar. This was a heaven-defying opportunity, a supreme good fortune. It was hard for Zhu Songhua to control himself. In the end, he threw his head back and laughed. Ha ha! The heavens are helping me. The heavens are helping me. The most powerful supreme treasure of the sky bamboo lineage, the sky bamboo forest. This was the strongest treasure that the progenitor had refined his entire life. Although its name sounded ordinary, who didn't know the power of the sky bamboo forest? Although it wasn't one of the 10 greatest treasures, the power of this item wasn't much weaker than the 10 greatest treasures. The sky bamboo forest had disappeared with the sky bamboo progenitor. But now, Zhu Yonghua saw this dreamlike immortal treasure. He was wild with excitement. Was this the fortune left behind by the progenitor? Ancestor bamboo leaf. I used the bamboo leaf to open the space created by the progenitor. As the progenitor's disciple, I also obtained a bamboo leaf. Every progenitor's personal disciple has a life-saving bamboo leaf. Zhu Yonghua took out the progenitor's bamboo leaf. Could it be that the paragon in charge of the sky bamboo lineage is the progenitor's personal disciple? Murderous intent surged in Giant Bamboo's heart. He also tried his best to control his emotions. In the sky bamboo forest, he wasn't surprised to see Zhu Yonghua's crazed appearance. This was the sky bamboo forest, the strongest supreme treasure. Su Yin has the heaven-opening brush and the 9 continents cauldrons, but I've never seen him like this. Giant Bamboo sneered. The sky bamboo forest is indeed the progenitor's supreme treasure. It's also the strongest supreme treasure of our lineage. But times have changed. Millions of years have passed. Have they forgotten that the sky bamboo forest was a training ground that the progenitor used to test our disciples? The sky bamboo forest wasn't just the race's strongest supreme treasure. It was also a magnificent training ground. In the past, the sky bamboo progenitor took in clansmen who performed outstandingly in the sky bamboo forest as personal disciples. After so many years, the progenitor had about 20 disciples. But Giant Bamboo was very bright. The sky bamboo lineage had developed for millions of years, but there wasn't a single disciple that could satisfy the sky bamboo progenitor. However, he possesses the sky bamboo root. If he really enters the sky bamboo forest, his performance will be outstanding. Giant Bamboo's expression darkened. Bamboo Moon had already begun to challenge the forest, but it was hard to say if she could compare to Zhu Yonghua. If Zhu Yonghua's progress surpassed Bamboo Moon's, then Zhu Yonghua would enter the progenitor's grotto heaven and obtain a great opportunity. All of a sudden, Giant Bamboo emitted a powerful induction that pulled the hesitant Zhu Yao into the tunnel. Zhu Yao, how dare you step in here? Do you want to die? Zhu Yonghua was enraged. He hadn't expected Zhu Yao to enter as well. The sky bamboo forest. Zhu Yao was shocked when she saw this item. She trembled with excitement. This was a supreme opportunity. She hadn't expected it to be hidden in the progenitor's space. Let the two of them fight. The giant bamboo's mind became even more silent as he said. The reason the ancestor created the sky bamboo lineage over a long period of time was to find a disciple who could surpass him. Although Zhu Yonghua has obtained the sky bamboo root and his future is limitless, it will be difficult for him to obtain the progenitor's favor. He will be walking the same path as the progenitor. The progenitor once nurtured a peerlessly talented disciple and even bestowed them with rare treasures. Unfortunately, the progenitor wants to find a disciple that can surpass him. From this moment on, Giant Bamboo was not prepared to guide Bamboo Moon's cultivation. The Sky Bamboo Forest was a super powerful training ground. Giant Bamboo's achievements were limited in the past, but he believed that with Bamboo Moon's talent, she would definitely surpass him. If she could nurture a new Sky Bamboo aspect seed in the Sky Bamboo Forest, she would definitely be stronger. Bamboo Moon, you can only rely on yourself from now on. Giant Bamboo was full of expectations. Suyin had helped her too much. She could only rely on Bamboo Moon for the rest of her journey. The progenitor's passageway closed once again. The outside world was in chaos, and war cries filled the air. Xia Kunlun had left and captured Xian Bailing alive, but the young Devil King was still there. He did not leave the path to heaven with Xia Kunlun. The Xian people sent people to search for the young Devil King all over the world. What the world did not know was that the young Devil King and Xia Kunlun were the same person. Another group of people rushed to the ancient city of this large region and activated the passageway that connected the path to heaven. They spread the news quickly and issued the strongest arrest warrant. In the outside world, at the tens of thousands of entrances to the 10,000 tribe battlefield, the atmosphere in some areas was suffocating. The most prosperous immortal sects were furious. They had once said that the celestial court would never be able to rise again. Even in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, they would not be able to obtain any of the strongest seats. In the end, in less than a month before the young Devil King could explode, someone called Xia Kunlun rose up. Of course, this was nothing. After all, the battle for supremacy in the 10,000 tribe battlefield had not started yet. However, the clan's proud daughter, Xian Bailing, was captured alive. This completely enraged the Xian people. The group of ancestors was furious, and their hearts were about to explode. Who is Xia Kunlun? The roar exploded, shaking heaven and earth. The Xian people already knew the name of the perpetrator, but who was he? What was his relationship with the celestial court? Who was the indestructible body from before? In short, the battle at the place where the heavenly bamboo progenitor fell made Xia Kunlun famous. His fierceness was close to the young Devil King's, and it caused a huge commotion. Things are not that bad. The heavenly bamboo progenitor's expressions improved slightly. The progenitor's space opened again, and Zhu Yanghua and Zhu Yao entered. Although Bamboo Moon from the Xianwang universe also entered, how could a weak woman stop Zhu Yanghua? There were also some experts searching for traces of Xia Kunlun on the path to heaven. However, he was too fast. Even with the suppression of the path to heaven, he crossed dozens of space-time wormholes in a short time. People could not lock onto his destination. Xian Bailing was also sealed by Su Yin, suppressed in a space-time treasure. Su Yin did not want to kill Xian Bailing now. Keeping her was also a trump card. He kept crossing the path to heaven, and finally, Su Yin rushed to his own. One sword to slay the immortal Tao. It will be my strongest trump card in the future. I wonder if there are any weapons suitable for me in this sword mount. Su Yin really wanted to get a super weapon. Although he would be qualified to use the Jojo Heavenly Cauldron and the Heaven-Opening Writing Brush when he stepped into the immortal Tao realm in the future, these two supreme treasures were too shocking. Even if Su Yin became an immortal, he would not be able to use much of their power. If he wanted to gain a foothold in the 10,000 tribes battlefield, it was impossible without a powerful weapon to protect himself. Of course, the most important thing was that the immortal slaying sword would only be able to unleash its strongest effect with the help of a powerful killing sword. Therefore, Su Yin could not wait to obtain a powerful killing weapon to protect himself. He rushed into a space-time wormhole and could see that there were billions of sword lights surging and blooming below. This was an ancient ruin that had already been conquered by the sword sect. Although there were still some factions fishing in troubled waters, with the sword sect's Fan Jian overseeing this place. Very few peak void immortals dared to come and scheme for fortune. Su Yin was not afraid. He directly rushed into the world below the space-time wormhole. He wanted to go to the Sword Mound to seek fortune. In fact, Suyin had not fully descended into the Sword Mound ruins, but news had already spread here. The 10,000 tribes battlefield was divided into 10,000 regions and 10,000 ancient cities. There were also teleportation formations between ancient cities that could transmit information. On this day, a piece of news came, causing a huge commotion in the 10,000 tribes battlefield. The descendants of the celestial court have appeared, one after another. Xia Kunlun has become a peak void immortal. He reflected the space-time wormhole and slaughtered more than 10 true immortals in one battle. The proud daughter of the Xian people, Xian Bailing, was also captured alive. The shocking news swept across the world like a flood, spreading throughout the vast, immortal heavenly domain. It was huge and shocking. A peerless genius of the celestial court had risen. It was not a young devil, but a ruthless person called Xia Kunlun. He suppressed the proud daughter of the Xian people and slaughtered more than 10 true immortals. His battle shocked the world. Xia Kunlun? This. In another large region, the smell of blood was very heavy. Too many people had died. The huge world of the ruins was filled with corpses. The number of people who had died was immeasurable. This was the world of the ruins of the uncanny craftsmanship sect. The bloodshed was so severe that even the Xian people could not completely occupy it. They could only divide the territory with some immortal sects and jointly manage it. When the news reached here, the experts of the Xian people were furious. Xian Bailing was actually captured alive. This made them go berserk. One of the black-robed young men had a wooden expression as he muttered, "That ruthless man once used the alias of Xia Kunlun, but he is already dead, buried in the darkness." However, Xia Kunlun appeared. Is there such a coincidence in this world? Xia Kunlun was the alias Su Yin used before. Although it was only for a short time, some people remembered it. Zhu Sheng was scared. Su Xianren was still alive? Saint Sun, bad news. In the world of the Sword Tomb, Fan Jian heard the news and was immediately excited. He wanted to go to the region where the young devil was and challenge him. However, a large group of disciples came, looking panicked. Someone said, "Someone broke into the mountain and defeated our race's geniuses. He is about to kill his way into the Sword Tomb." Which idiot came to report to the king of hell again? Fan Jian was angry. He shouted fiercely, "Hurry up and lead the way. I will go and suppress him. If my challenge to the young devil is delayed, I will make him suffer." 9 Heaven's Deity Emperor. Chapter 1499. Fan Jian, the Sword Sect's most powerful genius, was already known as the Sword Sect's saint. This gray-clothed youth was handsome and had sword-like eyebrows. Although he was a handsome young man, once he released his aura, it was like an unsheathed killing sword that could easily split open the sky. "The saint is mighty." A group of Sword Sect's geniuses shouted excitedly. Regardless of gender, they were all excited and their faces were full of pride. There were even some who were restless, like a group of battle maniacs. There were also a few Sword Sect's true immortals here. Their faces were all gloomy. Ever since Fan Jian joined the Sword Sect, the atmosphere in the Sword Sect had changed. The young people in the sect had all become battle maniacs, which greatly affected the Sword Sect. Regarding this, the sect's patriarchs were helpless. After all, Fan Jian was the most powerful person in the younger generation and would lead the Sword Sect in the future. His subordinates would follow his behavior. However, there was no doubt about Fan Jian's strength. In the current 10,000 tribes battlefield, there were hundreds of space-time wormhole illuminators, and Fan Jian was naturally one of them. Sooner or later, he would become the shocking Ingjia on the top 10,000 list. He might even fight for a higher position in the future. Since the establishment of the Sword Sect, there had been peerless geniuses who were ranked in the top 10 of the Emperor rankings. There was no doubt that the Sword Sect's foundation was very strong, and they also had one of the 10 greatest treasures, the sky-dominating sword, to guard the sect's fate. Fan Jian carried a sword embryo on his back. This sword was huge and looked like a sword, but it wasn't a sword, and it also looked like a saber, but it wasn't a saber either. It emitted a domineering aura that made even true immortals tremble in fear. This was a replica of the sky-dominating sword, which was jointly forged by a group of patriarchs. It was also a super powerful killing weapon that was tailor-made for Fan Jian. It wasn't inferior to the murderous weapons of any immortal sect successors. Fan Jian, don't be careless. We don't know the purpose of the person who came. He even broke through the killing sword peak and defeated our clan's geniuses. You can't underestimate him. An elder couldn't help but remind him. Over the years, Fan Jian had become stronger and stronger and was already known as the world's #1 sword. However, there was always someone stronger. Although Fan Jian was strong, he wasn't invincible in this world. Perhaps in terms of swordsmanship, Fan Jian was truly qualified to become a grandmaster. However, in other areas, Fan Jian had yet to cultivate to the extreme. Hearing this, Fan Jian said indifferently, "This person forced his way into the sword mound to cause trouble. Humph! Wait until I suppress this kid and teach him a lesson. Then, I'll go to the Sky Bamboo's territory and find the young Devil King to fight." The group of Sword Sect elders felt helpless. The young Demon King was no ordinary person. He dared to declare war on the Xian people and had the Yin Emperor behind him. They were really worried that Fan Jian would run into a tough opponent. After all, Fan Jian had never suffered a single defeat since he started cultivating. If he really suffered a crushing defeat, it would most likely affect his Dao heart. Sword cultivators were supposed to move forward courageously. Once they encountered a setback, it was very likely that they would be unable to recover from the setback. The Sword Tomb ruins were enormous, almost occupying the entire vast region. Every generation of the Sword Sect would occupy this world of ruins. But even after a long time had passed, not a single one of them had managed to pluck all of the good fortune within the Sword Tomb. The Sword Sect had once speculated that there was a shocking good fortune hidden within the Sword Tomb. However, no one had managed to find anything. After 1,000,000 years, the Sword Sect had once again produced a peerless genius. This caused the Sword Sect's old ancestor to place high hopes on Fan Jian, hoping that he would obtain a great harvest. At the core of the vast Sword Tomb world, a large number of geniuses from the Sword Sect gathered. Even Fifth Senior Brother was defeated. Where did that person come from? The Sword Sect's geniuses discussed heatedly. They surrounded a black mountain peak, giving off a visual impact. It was as if a majestic black heavenly sword was spitting out sword light. The black mountain peak was completely black, and it flowed with a murderous aura. It was as if illusory, immortal swords were flowing on the mountain peak. It was a fatal threat to any expert who ventured into the Killing Sword Peak. This was the Killing Sword Peak. Many geniuses from the Sword Sect resided on the Killing Sword Peak, comprehending the vast sword intent emitted by the Killing Sword Peak. 2 hours ago, Su Yan had arrived and directly charged up. Facing the Sword Sect's obstructions, he attacked with lightning speed, consecutively defeating more than 10 geniuses from the Sword Sect. Even a pseudo-immortal expert who was sitting cross-legged on the peak was defeated miserably. That person is so strong. Only the Holy Sun can defeat him. The Sword Sect's fifth senior brother was no ordinary person. His sword cultivation had reached the acme of perfection, and he was ranked in the top 10 of the Sword Sect. However, he was defeated in less than 10 moves by Su Yan. His body rolled down from the Killing Sword Peak as he screamed, "Quick, get the Holy Sun, quick!" "What are you talking about?" Before the person arrived, Fan Jian's arrogant words had already been heard. "What do you mean by only I can defeat him? Since the person who came past the Killing Sword Peak, he is definitely a sword cultivator. In this world, how many people are qualified to make me draw my sword? Holy Sun, I'm just saying." The Sword Sect's fifth senior brother wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled apologetically. No matter how strong that kid is, he can't be compared to the world's #1 sword cultivator. Holy Sun, quickly climb up the mountain. You must stop this kid. I saw him charging straight up. His goal is the Four Sages Sword Region. What? He went to the Four Sages Sword Region? The group of elders' faces changed as they cried out involuntarily. Who is this person? Could it be that he knows the hidden place of fortune here? Fanjian, quickly go over there. Don't let him get close to the Four Sages Sword region. If he can really enter the Four Sages Sword region, Fan Jian's eyes lit up as he said excitedly, he might be a world-shaking sword cultivator. Up until now, only 4 geniuses from the sword sect had entered the Four Sages Sword region, including Fan Jian. This showed how difficult it was to enter the Four Sages Sword region. On the Killing Sword Peak, there was a cave. Su Yin followed his senses and came here. He was right to come here. Ever since he stepped into the sword catacomb, the Four Sages' inheritance hidden between his eyebrows vaguely moved. Could it be that this place has something to do with the skeleton? Su Yan's heart skipped a beat. The mysterious skeleton in the Xianhuang universe was extremely knowledgeable and had a terrifying background. Only God knew what era it came from. In short, it was so powerful that Su Yin could only look up to it. Even the fairy-slaying sword of the Xian people was closely related to the mysterious skeleton. This showed how mysterious he was. Now, in this mysterious world of the sword catacomb, the Four Sages' inheritance in Su Yan's primordial spirit were showing signs of awakening. Su Yan had to pay attention to this. Could it be that I've really encountered a great opportunity? Su Yan walked along a bluestone road and kept moving forward. Along the way, Su Yin was tortured by the sages. It was as if there was a sword embryo hanging above his head that could kill Su Yin at any time. This was a road of life and death. Only those with great courage were qualified to walk on this road. This road was also very long. Su Yin did not know how long he had been walking. He was sweating profusely and his face was a little pale. After encountering so many trials of the sage's path, he felt powerless. Gradually, this path had come to an end. Su Yan's eyes shone brightly. He saw that along the way, 4 space-time voids had appeared. Su Yan was shocked. The 4 space-time voids were like 4 peerless immortal swords that were unsheathed. It was terrifying. When they approached, they were about to tear his spirit and will apart, causing him to fall into eternal damnation. What a terrifying sword will. Su Yan was moved. He said, if I'm a sword cultivator and cultivate here for a long time, I can also gain great opportunities. It's like being baptized. I wonder if there's any creation here. Su Yin said to himself, but even if there is, it's most likely taken away by the sword sect. But since this place is related to the mysterious skeleton and I've mastered the heaven-destroying sword path, I might be able to gain something if I go in and investigate. Su Yin was not willing to give up just like that. He was here to look for creation. If he could get his hands on a great killing weapon, it would be enough for him to return with a full load. It might even be of great help to Su Yin in his future struggle for supremacy. Let's go in and take a look. Su Yin was on full alert and entered the first sword path grotto heaven. After about half an incense stick's time, he came out. There were some sword wounds on his body, but they did not harm his vitality. He encountered a powerful sword cultivator, and after a fierce battle, he finally won. But Su Yin did not find any creation and returned in disappointment. Just like that, he entered the second sword path grotto heaven. The atmosphere of the 2 grotto heavens was completely different, and the sword was different as well. Su Yin was astonished. He had met yet another genius of the sword Dao. Furthermore, it was a woman. Su Yin did not use too much force on her. He had subdued her and did not dig out anything from the heavenly abode. Su Yin was even more disappointed. He did not find anything in the 3rd grotto heaven. The 4 sages' sword realm, the 3 sword paths time and space. Although there were shocking sword wills, there were no weapons. Just like that, Su Yin patiently entered the 4th sword path grotto heaven. How terrifying! He was shocked. The first 3 grotto heavens had different sword wills, and he could withstand them. But this grotto heaven's killing intent was too dense. It was as if thousands of demonic killing swords were slashing at Su Yan's soul. Even someone as powerful as Su Yan's primordial spirit felt a piercing pain. It was obvious how terrifying the 4th killing sword space was. It was also a type of sword will. Su Yin was filled with excitement as he explored this place, hoping to discover something. Third brother, what's wrong? At this time, Fan Jian came. He was excited, but just as he arrived at the Four Sages Sword Realm, he saw the Sword Sect's third senior brother beaten black and blue. He was shocked. Saint Sun, I met a ruthless scum. He beat me up as soon as he came. The Sword Sect's third senior brother complained. This was a young man in snow-white clothes. He had delicate features, but his appearance was too miserable. He was beaten black and blue. It's him. Very good. I finally met a worthy opponent. I wonder if he's as strong as the young Demon King. Fan Jian was pleasantly surprised. He did not expect the Sword Dao genius to be so powerful. Even the Sword Sect's third brother could not defeat him. What? The young Demon King is here? The Sword Sect's third senior brother's expression changed. That's not it. Fan Jian waved his hand and said, but I heard that there's a ruthless person by the young Demon King's side who captured Xian Bailing alive. Didn't you chase after her before? In the end, you ran into her. Plop. The Sword Sect's third senior brother almost fell to the ground. He was in a daze, doubting his life. Xian Bailing was captured alive? That arrogant Xian people's daughter had high standards. Even someone as powerful as him did not enter her eyes. But Xian Bailing was captured alive? Don't worry. Fan Jian comforted the dazed third brother and said, after I suppress the young Demon King, I'll make him hand over Xian Bailing and give her to you. The Sword Sect's third senior brother was so scared that he almost turned around and ran. He cursed Fan Jian inwardly for not being able to keep his mouth shut. If this spread out, the Xian people would not forgive Fan Jian. Brother Saint Sun, in the second Sword Dao paradise, a beautiful woman walked out. Her snow-white forehead was covered in bruises. She was pleasantly surprised to see Fan Jian. At the same time, she was worried about her perfect image. She covered the bruises on her forehead with her sleeve, not wanting Fan Jian to see her in such a sorry state. Fan Jian's reaction was very big. He stared at her with his eyes wide open, his pupils trembling. Fan Jian's shocking reaction caused the Sword Sect's second senior apprentice sister's heart to tremble. She thought to herself that this blockhead Fan Jian finally knew how to feel sorry for someone. She immediately felt wronged, and tears began to roll down her cheeks. She looked at Fan Jian pitifully, wanting to complain. Second brother, you've been beaten too. Fan Jian's spirit was excited. Without a doubt, he had met a ruthless person. This was a powerful enemy, worthy of him drawing his sword and fighting. After all, Fan Jian's third senior brother and second senior sister were both defeated. Chapter 1500. The delicate second senior sister of the Sword Sect was speechless when she heard him call her second senior sister. She was really so angry that her entire body trembled. Did he not feel sorry for her? Was he not angry? Why was he excited? Why? Of course, Fan Jian's excitement couldn't compare to the harm caused to her when he called her number 2. She was the number 1 female sword immortal that was adored by all in the Sword Sect. No matter if it was in terms of appearance, she wasn't inferior to the noble ladies of the various great immortal sections. The Sword Sect's third senior brother felt a headache coming on. He could feel Jian Xiuxiu's murderous gaze. He did not dare to call her second senior sister. In fact, in the entire Sword Sect, other than Fan Jian, no one dared to call her second senior sister. Is that person that strong? He defeated senior sister in such a short time. The Sword Sect's third senior brother frowned and said, who is he? He barged into our Sword Sect's land of fortune. He has ill intentions. You were defeated too. At this moment, a black-robed man walked out of the third grotto heaven. He was tall and was bathed in the divine light of the sword. He was powerful and intimidating. His eyes were like killing swords that were opening and closing. Eldest senior brother, Jian Xiuxiu and third senior brother hurriedly walked over and asked in surprise, eldest senior brother, did you lose too? Fan Jian's heart skipped a beat. The Sword Sect's eldest senior brother could also be called a candidate for the Son of Saint. If he died, the Sword Sect's eldest senior brother would become the new Son of Saint. Jian Jingshan's combat strength was extremely strong. If Fan Jian did not use his trump card, he could fight Jian Jingshan for thousands of times. If that person could defeat the 3 top void immortals of the sword sect in such a short time, his combat strength would be terrifying. Their combat prowess was rather frightening. Most importantly, had Jian Jingshan been defeated as well? Not really. Jian Jingshan frowned and said, I fought with that person, but he did not linger. After fighting for a while, he retreated. Before he left, he finished exploring the entire 3rd grotto heaven. He seemed to be looking for something. Of course, I can conclude that he is very strong. He has surpassed me. Otherwise, he would not have the heart to explore the 3rd grotto heaven. Jian Jingshan's expression was solemn. The other party did not seem like he was here to cause trouble, but to search for fortune. Jian Xiuxiu and 3rd senior brother looked at each other. Their expressions changed as they said at the same time, This is bad. Son, that person explored the sword sect's 4 sacred sword domain. Could it be that he knows the sword sect? If that's really the case, Jian Jingshan's face instantly turned cold as he said, This person should be in the 4th paradise right now. With the 4 of us working together, I really don't believe that there's anyone in this world who can stop us. Jian Jingshan was filled with murderous intent. They were well aware of the importance of the 4 sacred sword realm. The founder of the sword sect had once obtained a heaven-defying opportunity in the 10,000 tribes battlefield and made it into the top 10 of the monarch ranking. A single man and a single sword, without any support, had made it to the top 10 on the monarch ranking. What kind of supreme glory was this? Someone once said that if the expert was supported by an immortal sect, he or she would have a chance to become a supreme on the monarch ranking. From then on, his name spread far and wide. He created the House of Sword and attracted talents from all over the world to join him. That was how the sword sect was born. It had been passed down for a long time. Under the leadership of the sword sect's founding ancestor, it had always been strong, and it had always been a flourishing immortal sect. He was a legendary figure who had founded an immortal sect. He was one of the most powerful figures in the immortal heavenly domain. It was even said that the sword sect's sky hegemon sword was closely related to the 4 sacred sword realm. However, the rumors were only spread within the sword sect. The experts in the outside world were unaware of it. As such, the 4 sacred sword realm was too important. The sword sect would never allow anyone to get close to it. Su Yan's sudden appearance in the sword sect had exceeded their expectations. Come, let's go in and take a look. The geniuses of the 4 sacred sword sects had joined hands to enter the 4th sacred sword realm. Their hearts skipped a beat when they were faced with the terrifying suppression of their souls. They were all illusionary immortals, but even with their strength, it was difficult for them to stay in the 4th sacred sword realm for a long time. The geniuses of the 4 sacred sword sects were qualified to comprehend the sword intent in the 3rd sacred sword realm. However, the 4th sacred sword realm was different. The terrifying sword intent could easily slice one's soul apart. Even Fan Jian found it difficult to stay in the 4th sacred sword realm for a long time. It was as if the 3rd sacred sword realm had drunk the blood of billions of living beings. The sword intent lingered in the air, affecting their minds. Fan Jian had explored the 4 sacred sword realms many times. However, he did not find anything useful. Fan Jian assumed that the sword sect's founding ancestor had taken all the fortune here. It's him. At this moment, Jian Xiuxiu's face turned cold. Although she looked beautiful and charming, she was especially shocking when she went berserk. Her slender figure released surging sword light. Behind her, the Milky Way of the 9 heavens intersected, transforming into astral killing swords that tore through space. The 4 experts quickly approached. They did not expect to find Su Yin so easily. Could it be that this fellow was ignoring the entire sword sect? What the hell? There's nothing here. What kind of dog's hit place is this? There's not even a single hair. Could it be that the sword sect's people took it all away? Su Yan's muttering caused Fan Jian's face to darken. Damn, I didn't find anything. The fortune here must have been taken away by the founding ancestor. This fellow, Jian Jingshan, clenched his teeth. He saw Su Yin sighing, muttering, and being disappointed. He spoke as if the sword mound was his blessed paradise. Did he understand the situation? At the same time, Su Yan's face was filled with doubt. He could vaguely sense that the four sacred sword realms were not simple. However, Su Yan found it difficult to pry into the mysteries of the heaven-opening writing brush while he was in control of it. This made Su Yan puzzled. Could it be that the fortune here was so heaven-defying that even the heaven-opening writing brush found it difficult to explore? Although he could not resurrect the heaven-opening writing brush, there were very few places of fortune in this world that he could not explore with the heaven-opening writing brush and the eye of heaven escape. Without a doubt, the more this was the case, the more Su Yan valued the four sacred sword realms. Perhaps he really needed a special method to have a chance of opening the land of fortune here. Therefore, this gave Su Yan a headache. He had encountered a difficult problem. You're here. At this moment, Su Yan also noticed the experts of the Four Swords sects approaching and said, "Fellow Taoists, I don't have any ill intentions. I'll leave after exploring." How arrogant! Fan Jian stared at Su Yan excitedly. He was too confident to say such words in front of them in the Sword Sect's territory. "Kid, don't be arrogant." Jian Xiuxiu was fuming. She pointed at Su Yan and said, "If it's really a life-and-death battle, you might not be able to suppress me easily." "Why? Do you want to keep me here?" Su Yan frowned. Hearing this, Jian Jingshan walked forward and said to Su Yan, "Who exactly are you? What's your purpose here?" "I just want to find some handy weapons." Su Yan said helplessly, "Unfortunately, there's nothing here. I made a wasted trip." "Sigh, you're quite direct." Jian Jingshan snorted coldly. "This sword tomb belongs to my sword sect. You can't even take away a single blade of grass or tree here." "You're quite arrogant," Su Yan said coldly. "The Myriad Clan battlefield is not your sword sect's private property. Any treasure will belong to the capable. Since I'm here, I'm not afraid of your sword sect." "Well said." Fan Jian laughed and walked forward, saying, "Friend, you're right. Treasures belong to the capable. However, if you're not skilled enough, you should take back your words as soon as possible." "Holy Son," Jian Jingshan said softly, "the four of us should join forces and suppress him first." Fan Jian waved his hand nonchalantly and said, "You don't have to do it. I can do it alone." Jian Jingshan was helpless. This guy's old habit was acting up again. However, since Fan Jian had taken action, he was relieved. With Fan Jian's strength, if Su Yan was really a sword cultivator, he would definitely lose. Their sword sect, Sky He Gemin sword, was the most powerful treasure. Fan Jian had long been able to merge with the Sky He Gemin sword's sword intent. Now, his sword cultivation had surpassed the sword sect's disciples by too much. Even the Patriarch was full of praise, saying that it was only a matter of time before Fan Jian became a golden immortal. The best sword in the world. Su Yan looked at Fan Jian with interest. He had heard of his reputation in the Nine Cauldron continent, but he did not expect to meet him in the sword domain world today. Haha, it's just a title. It's not worth mentioning. Although Fan Jian said that, he was still extremely proud. He smiled and said, "There's no doubt that you're powerful. However, you've barged into my clan's land of fortune and injured so many of my junior brothers. It's a little unreasonable." "What do you want?" Su Yan asked. "I did injure some people, but they were all superficial wounds. It's nothing. I'm not here to cause trouble. Your sword sect won't go so far as to spare my life, right?" "Of course I know that." Fan Jian was ready to make a move. He said, "However, as the holy son of the sword sect, it's not right for me to not take action. Moreover, you've killed my clan's geniuses in succession. As the holy son of the sword sect, how can I not draw my sword? I want to challenge you now." "Challenge me?" Su Yan was surprised and looked at Fan Jian strangely. After all, he was the strongest person in the sword sect. His combat strength was extraordinary. He was definitely qualified to fight for the strongest position on the Emperor rankings. Jian Xiuxiu covered her mouth and laughed. She thought to herself, "This guy is going to be unlucky. How could he be called the strongest swordsman in the world for nothing?" In the past, Fan Jian had spent close to 10 years challenging the experts of the major immortal sections. He had fought his way through one continent after another. He had earned his reputation through killing. I've heard that if you, Fan Jian, lose, you'll have to take whoever you want as your master. Su Yin was also eager to fight with this kind of peerless genius. After all, Fan Jian was the holy son of the sword sect. His strength was enough to rank him in the top 100 of the immortal heavenly domain. Ever since Su Yin had reached the immortal realm, he had never fought with a peerless genius. Therefore, Su Yin was looking forward to it. His battle blood began to boil. Hearing this, Fan Jian was stunned. Since he was Xia Kunlun, it wouldn't be difficult for him to find the young Devil King for a duel. Fan Jian had never forgotten the young Devil King who had attacked him in the ruins of the heavenly court in the Nine Cauldron Continent. What's Xia Kunlun? Who are you? Jian Jingshan shouted. You're too daring. You even dared to suppress the Xian people's Xian biling. Don't you know who she is? Su Yin ignored Jian Jingshan and smiled at Fan Jian. What do you think of the spoil of war? Let's fight. If I lose, I'll give Xian biling to you. You can go to the Xian people and ask for a reward, or you could do something else. I don't care. What? Spoil of war. Su Yan's words almost made Xian biling go crazy. She was being used as a spoil of war to fight Fan Jian. This was really insane. I'm very satisfied, Fan Jian said sincerely. The spoil of war is a little hot. It's not that I don't dare to accept it. How about this? If you lose, you set up a trap for me to fight the young Devil King. How about that? Su Yan's eyes were filled with surprise. He didn't dare to think about it. It made sense. The world didn't know that Xia Kunlun and the young Devil King were the same person. Of course, to Fan Jian, he didn't care about beauties or noble ladies of the Xian people. His goal was to fight the young Devil King. Fan Jian, Jian Xiuxiu was about to go crazy. Shut up. You can't call me Fan Jian. Fan Jian was annoyed. He pointed at her and said, You're just a prisoner. I have no reason to save you. Saint. The sword sect's third brother was anxious. Shut up, you good for nothing. Fan Jian glared at the sword sect's third brother. Although he was arrogant, he knew very well that this was a serious matter. If he wasn't careful, it would bring endless trouble to the sword sect. Listen to me. Jian Xiuxiu was like a big sister, comforting the sword sect's third brother's weak heart. In an instant, a powerful aura spread out in the fourth sword realm. Jian Jingshan and the others retreated, giving them enough space to fight. But before they could take more than a few steps, the aura of the two experts had already poured out. Boom! In the world of the sword realm, two storms of wind blew, darkening the sky and causing time and space to tremble. It was extremely difficult to withstand their eruption, and a great collapse had already begun. Come on, Fan Jian let out a long howl and swooped down. Along the way, the heavens and earth shook. At the instant he arrived in front of Su Yin, his pores spewed out tens of thousands of sword lights. They were resplendent and overbearing as they drowned the world and charged towards Su Yin. Su Yan's aura was getting more and more vast. His entire body was steaming with a vast amount of blood essence, dominating the world. This was a peerlessly powerful aura. The steaming blood essence caused the world to collapse. Even the sword beams that filled the sky exploded. So strong. Jian Xiuxiu was shocked. Su Yin was even stronger than she had imagined. Dense blood essence leaked out, rolling like smoke. It was as if a golden god, standing in a mythical kingdom, was awakening. Without a doubt, this was definitely a pinnacle battle. Slash! Fan Jian's aura skyrocketed. He was originally a warmonger, and now that he had encountered a peerlessly powerful enemy, his essence, qi, and spirit rose to their peak state. Tens of thousands of sword beams wreaked havoc in his body, incomparably sharp. Boom! They fought together and collided repeatedly, causing the entire small world to tremble. The strength between them was too shocking. After countless collisions, this small world finally collapsed. So strong. Jian Jingshan lost his composure. Just what was this person's background? In this short exchange, everyone could see how terrifying Su Yin was. His blood essence was golden, and his precious body was tough. Kill! The two pinnacle experts roared. They could see how strong the other was. Fan Jian completely erupted. His body was like a heavenly sword, flowing with a deterrent force that could cut through billions of stars. What? The saint has activated the heavenly sword physique. The reason why Fan Jian had his current achievements was because he had the same physique as the founder of the sword sect. Innate sword physique. This was the supreme potential to become a peerless sword immortal. Now that Fan Jian had activated the heavenly sword physique, the entire world would be filled with images of billions of killing swords. This was a power that could cut through everything, a state of extreme brutality. That person, the moment he collided with Su Yan's aura was terrifying. Sometimes it was like an indestructible body. Sometimes it was like a 6-foot golden body. Sometimes it was like a 5-colored precious body. And sometimes it was like he was about to evolve 3 heads and 6 arms. The collision of the supreme, precious bodies was very sudden. At the same speed, they collided together, causing heaven and earth to tremble. It was as if a huge drum was rumbling, emitting a deafening sound. The bodies of the two experts trembled at the same time, and blood sprayed out from each other's bodies. Fan Jian was sent flying. He retreated dozens of steps, and blood rolled out from his throat. However, he was shouting like a madman, satisfying, too satisfying, too satisfying. Although Su Yin was standing still, there were bloodstains on his body. The heavenly sword physique's offensive power was peerless. In the previous instant of collision, Su Yin was injured. Come and fight. Su Yin also laughed. His long black hair fluttered in the wind. His aura swallowed the starry sky, and his cold eyes burned with the flames of battle. Come, Fan Jian roared. His body flowed with the power of the heavenly sword, and he attacked Su Yin. The entire fourth paradise was affected by the storm of their battle. It was difficult for the 3 geniuses of the sword sect to gain a foothold. In short, their battle was extremely shocking. They used killing techniques at every turn, and they violently attacked each other, stirring up a turbulent storm. How can he be so strong? The sword sect's third brother was shocked. He said, Eldest senior brother, if you were to fight with Fan Jian in this state, how long could you last? Jian Jingshan's face darkened, but he still said in a low voice, In the heavenly sword physique state, I can fight with him for hundreds of rounds with all my strength. However, this battle is different. The Saint's son is fighting with all his strength, and every move is at its peak. However, that person can receive all of them, and even has the upper hand. He is definitely a supreme, precious body, and his combat power is extraordinary. He cannot be underestimated. Brother Saint's son has a killing technique. He will not be defeated. Although Jin Xiuxiu was shocked by Su Yan's combat power, he was the #1 genius of the sword sect. Once he used his strongest secret technique, he would be able to defeat all the geniuses in the world. This was Jin Xiuxiu's unwavering affirmation of Fan Jian. This battle between the legendary experts was extremely intense, and the battle situation was becoming more and more shocking. If it was not in the Four Saint Sword domain, but in the Sword Tomb world, this battle would most likely shock the world. What scripture is this? It can suppress my Tao. The battle continued for hundreds of rounds, and it was difficult to determine the victor. Su Yin circulated the origin scripture. His body was like the breathing of the vast universe, and it emitted a majestic fluctuation of all things returning to the beginning. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it charged at Fan Jian. Facing this supreme suppression, Fan Jian was shocked. He felt that he was being suppressed, and his combat power was greatly reduced. Su Yin was already strong enough. Fighting with him was like facing an abyss, and it was difficult to find his weakness. Similarly, Fan Jian was also very decisive. He revived the sword sect's hegemon sword scripture, and it caused his aura to become violent. His body was like a blade, and he was filled with boundless dominance. Come at me. Su Yan's eyes opened wide. His aura surged like a bull, and his fists penetrated the heavens and the earth as he attacked forward. The origin scripture suppression had lost its effect. Fan Jian's He Gem and Sword scripture, combined with the heavenly sword physique, was peerlessly powerful. His entire body was like a heavenly sword that split open the heavens, and he blossomed with boundless sword radiance, enriching his domineering spirit. However, Su Yan's fists were ferocious, and they carried the aura of suppressing kings. He was about to transform into a human emperor who ruled over the world, and he was invincible. "Kill!" he roared. His long hair draped over his shoulders, and his majestic appearance was awe-inspiring. He raised his fists and punched forward, suppressing the world. Chapter 1502. Su Yan's punch was domineering and invincible. It was filled with an unstoppable divine might as he raised his fist and attacked. Everything became blurry. Only a pair of fists remained. It was like an invincible fist that dominated the world. It created a storm and released an invincible aura. What a terrifying prodigy. The sword sect's third brother was convinced. Based on his aura and spirit, he would definitely be one of the strongest on the emperor rankings. Brother Saint has met his match. Jian Xiuxiu clenched her fists. She could feel Su Yan's essence, qi, and spirit. It was wild and invincible, emitting an incomparable divine might. He was definitely a shocking prodigy, and definitely not a nobody. After all, Fan Jian's combat experience was too rich. He had experienced no less than 10,000 battles in close to 10 years. He used to swing his sword 100,000 times a day in the sword sect. For Fan Jian to have his current achievements, he had sacrificed a lot. Outsiders only knew of his glory, but not the hardships he had gone through when he was young. All of this, Jian Xiuxiu saw it all. When she was young, she saw Fan Jian as a role model. She always thought that he would be invincible in the future and kill all enemies. But now, Fan Jian's opponent was also someone who had killed his way out of a bloody storm. The two invincible existences clashed, erupting with blazing light that swept out in all directions, causing a huge shock. There was a terrifying collision, and blood splattered. Fan Jian's entire body trembled. He was about to degenerate from the heavenly sword body state. Similarly, a sword wound appeared on Su Yan's arm. But in terms of injuries, Fan Jian's injuries were more serious. "Kill!" Fan Jian roared. The more he fought, the stronger he became. His fighting spirit was high. The pressure he encountered caused his essence, qi, and spirit to surge. His body seemed to have turned into a heavenly sword as he attacked Su Yan crazily. Every move contained many changes and profound meanings. They covered the sky and covered the earth as they attacked Su Yan. Roar! Su Yan let out a clear roar. Sound waves rolled out from his mouth and nose, tearing everything apart. His roar caused the universe to tremble, forcefully creating a zone of nothingness. He was wild and domineering. He rushed over and waved his fists. Punch after punch, he suppressed Fan Jian. Boom, boom, boom. The world of the fourth sword domain rumbled fiercely, and loud noises echoed throughout the sky. The battle reached its climax. Su Yan's fist drew blood. His fleshly body blazed with boundless brilliance, pushing his body to its peak. How valiant was he in his peak state? He went berserk and threw hundreds of punches at Fan Jian. "How hard are you?" Fan Jian let out a low roar. His violent strength was also extremely astonishing. The heavenly sword physique was pushed to the extreme by him and even showed signs of collapsing. He also used his strongest combat prowess to resist, but the boundless pressure pressed down on him, suppressing Fan Jian's fleshly body to the point where it felt like it was bearing the weight of the heavens. Blood kept flowing out from the corner of his mouth. His chest heaved up and down violently. He was about to fly out. A terrifying aura pressed down on Fan Jian. He could be sent flying at any moment. His movements were somewhat sluggish, and in the end, he opened his sword-like eyes. Along with the blossoming of a terrifying soul light, his perception skyrocketed by a large margin. Then, he continuously waved his sword in palm, shattering the storm of fist auras that filled the sky. Then, he charged toward Su Yin. It's getting more and more dangerous. Jian Jingshan was alarmed. Fan Jian had used all the techniques he could. In the end, the collision formed was soul-stirring. The area where they clashed formed a huge energy vortex, and the two figures appeared somewhat blurry. The billowing energy storm wreaked havoc, and the aura that made people tremble filled the air. This battle was extremely dangerous. If one was careless, they would be obliterated by the opponent. They had never thought that the two peak powerhouses would fight to such a degree. This is bad. They are tangled together. It's difficult to determine the victor. Senior sister, did you notice that they almost didn't use any divine abilities or secret techniques? It's completely a battle of the most fundamental combat prowess of the human body. This is a contest. It's not a battle of life and death. Both sides want to use their own strength to suppress the opponent. This is a perfect victory. Hearing this, Jian Jingshan whispered, "It's good to watch. They both have supreme treasure bodies. The battle of the most fundamental of their fleshly bodies is definitely the embodiment of great divine abilities. I think this battle most likely won't end in a short time." The battle was still going on. They had entered into a stalemate. Time passed bit by bit. The two powerhouses were greatly exhausted, and their auras were somewhat declining. With the degree of their foundation, it meant that there was a big problem. Boom! In the end, the two figures at the center of the storm trembled violently and flew out. They stood tall in the fourth paradise. The two powerhouses did not say a word. Their throughput was astonishing. They were stealing the energy of the fourth paradise to replenish their body's losses. They still want to fight. Let's go out first. Jian Jingshan and the others could not hold on any longer. The soul intimidation of the fourth paradise was too strong. They could not stay here for too long, or else their primordial spirits would be damaged. The two powerhouses were still facing each other from afar. The Sword Sect's third brother went down the mountain to report. The Sword Sect's elders who were anxiously waiting all changed their expressions in disbelief. Fan Jian had encountered a powerful enemy. They were fighting a bloody battle in the fourth paradise, and it was difficult to determine the victor. "Elder, that person is Xia Kunlun." The Sword Sect's third brother's words caused the group of Sword Sect's true immortals' expressions to change greatly. "Why did this demon come here? Keep this a secret." One of the Sword Sect's elders whispered, "Don't leak this out. This matter is only between us. Don't spread it out." That's right. Right now, the Xian people are looking for Xia Kunlun all over the world. However, the Flame Emperor's bloodline is not to be trifled with. There are even a few super wanted criminals who are related to the Celestial Court. Our clan has no reason to become enemies with the Celestial Court. Of course not. An elder with a powerful sword intent said righteously. Back in the day, our Sword Sect's founder obtained a great opportunity in the Emperor Road. If the Celestial Court was not at its peak and gave everyone a fair competition, it would be difficult for our founder to live long enough to establish the Sword Sect. Even though we can't help the Heavenly Court, the members of my Sword Sect can't do something like hitting someone when they're down. No one would forget that the Emperor Road was created by the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Court. The group of Sword Sect's true immortals looked solemn. Their founder was now very powerful. However, back then, he was still a young man like Fan Jian. He returned with the Sky Hegemon sword and the supreme inheritance. The Celestial Court did not make things difficult for him. Back then, some big shots from the Celestial Court wanted to take him in as a disciple. However, the Sword Sect's founder rejected them. He had his own ambitions. If it were now, he would have been killed long ago. The Celestial Court, the true immortal side. They were inexplicably looking forward to it. Was there still hope for this once glorious faction to have a successor who could defy the natural order and rise up? In the Fourth Sword Realm, the great battle began again. The two pinnacle powerhouses recovered and started a new level of battle. The entire Heavenly Sword Realm was filled with monstrous battle intent. The two powerhouses fought until the sky darkened. The battle was getting more and more spectacular. It's already the second day, and they're still fighting. How long are they going to fight? Although it's not a battle of life and death, their battle is extremely dangerous. If anything happens, they'll lose their lives. It's just a fair battle. Fan Jian hasn't used his ultimate move. Even if he really kills Xia Kunlun, the Celestial Court won't be able to say anything. The entire sword sect was uneasy. The battle had been going on for 2 days and 2 nights, and there was still no sign of it ending. What made Jian Xiuxiu's hair stand was that she realized that Su Yin was stronger than before. This guy did not seem to have reached the immortal limit. However, even if he could strengthen himself again, there was a limit to it. It was the 3rd day. They were still fighting to the death and were locked in a stalemate. However, Jian Jingshan felt that the outcome of this battle was likely to be decided. The two powerhouses had a good understanding of each other's moves and energy. There was no need for them to continue fighting. Come on. The Heavenly Sword Realm's battle intent surged. Billions of sword rays appeared. Fan Jian's aura surged. The Overlord sword scripture activated, causing his heavenly sword body to shine brilliantly. Boom! Su Yin stepped into the sky. His golden chi and blood surged. His cold eyes were blazing. His tall and straight body was domineering. The moment his aura rumbled, the initial scripture erupted. At this moment, Su Yin was at his peak. The strength of his hands suddenly struck out. During the process, his aura became more majestic. It was like a golden universe was blooming. It suppressed billions of sword embryos. Even the heavenly sword body in the core was suppressed to the point of dimming. Overlord sword scripture. I'm invincible. Fan Jian roared. He used his strongest attack and clashed with Su Yin. It was a soul-stirring scene. The entire heavenly sword realm exploded. Everything turned blurry. Someone saw a rain of blood splattering. Fan Jian's hair was disheveled. His entire arm was covered in blood. His bones could be seen. He was almost blown apart by Su Yin. However, at the same time, Su Yin's fist was cracked open. There was a sword wound that went deep into the bone. Holy Sun! The 3 geniuses of the sword sect were shocked. The Holy Sun was defeated. His injuries were extremely severe. His arm was crippled, and he could not lift it. The atmosphere between heaven and earth was extremely oppressive. Su Yin was still standing tall like a war immortal bathed in blood. Is this the initial scripture? Fan Jian was not discouraged. He was shocked. At the same time, he knew that even if Su Yin did not have the initial scripture, it would be very difficult for him to suppress her. However, it would also be very difficult for Su Yin to kill Fan Jian. That's right. However, it's not the strongest divine ability in history. Su Yin nodded. However, his words made Jian Jingshan's hair stand. Could it be that this guy had the strongest divine ability in history? Ha! Ha! Fan Jian looked up and laughed. My sword sect has been established for thousands of years. We also have shocking divine abilities. Let's begin now. Let me experience the power of the greatest divine ability in history. Holy Sun! The 3 geniuses of the sword sect were shocked. Fan Jian had indeed mastered a powerful divine ability. However, once he used it, he would suffer a great loss. However, Fan Jian had no choice but to erupt now. He pulled out the thick killing sword on his back. His entire body seemed to have merged with the killing sword as he unleashed his strongest technique. In an instant, the heavenly abode world seemed to no longer exist. Only the sword embryo was left. It crushed the small world. The sword edge that flowed out was domineering. It was enough to crush the stars in the sky. Kill! Fan Jian roared. He released the heavenly dominating sword art. It shook heaven and earth and was about to shatter the reincarnation great Tao. It was extremely terrifying. As you wish. Let's decide the victor with the sword. Suddenly, the majestic figure in front of them disappeared. It was replaced by a golden sword embryo. The moment the sword edge was exposed, the heaven-punishing aura that could slash apart the immortal Tao surged out. This was an aura that could slash apart all the immortals in the world. Heaven and earth were trembling. The 3 geniuses of the sword sect were petrified In the entire heavenly abode world, the two killing swords faced each other from afar. Both of them were in a state of turbulence when they were about to collide. Chapter 1503. The battle lasted for close to 3 days and 3 nights. Finally, it reached the point where victory and defeat were decided. Once they used their life-risking trump cards, it wouldn't be as simple as deciding victory and defeat. It would decide life and death. Boom! Fan Jian's body merged with the sky hegemon sword imitation, turning into a sword embryo. It was extremely sharp and flowed with a destructive aura. It slashed towards Su Yan. Everything dimmed, losing its brilliance. The powerful Su Yan, with his peerless flesh shell, was about to collapse, explode, and be destroyed in a single day. This was the sky hegemon art, terrifying and world-shocking. The strongest divine ability in history couldn't include all the ultimate arts in the world. Some inheritances weren't inferior to the strongest in history. Now that the sky hegemon sword was released, it was enough to destroy the bodies of experts of the same generation, forming a supreme suppression. Clang! Clang! Su Yan's killing sword also came out. Immortal slaying sword bloomed, flowing with an aura that could kill all immortals in the world. It released a heaven-destroying aura that could slaughter all immortals in the path of immortality. It was also as if a forbidden ultimate art was erupting. All matter was peeled off by a mortal-slaying sword. This sword was resplendent and peerless, and a tragic aura also surged out. The 3 geniuses of sword sect trembled. Their bodies felt cold, feeling that they were about to be destroyed. Their bodies were about to break apart, and their primordial spirits were about to be destroyed. In short, they were about to die. This was a great fear that enveloped them, wanting to destroy them. Stop it! Stop it! Jian Jingshan roared, his eyes red, and he lost control of his emotions. Once they attacked, it was very likely that they would be destroyed together. Who would be able to survive? The sword intent that bloomed between them was too shocking, containing a peerless sharpness that could cut through everything. It was also at this moment that the entire world seemed to have calmed down. The moment the 2 killing swords were about to slash together, a trace of fear rose in Fan Jian's heart. He was facing life and death, facing despair. He felt that his soul was about to be extinguished, about to evaporate, about to die. In the battlefield, no matter how strong the sky hegemon sword was, it couldn't come out and help him resolve the crisis. At this moment, Fan Jian experienced death. It was so close, about to devour his life. The aura that could even destroy the heavens was too terrifying, enough to bury everything. Once one was struck, it was impossible to survive. Are you scared? Fan Jian's spirit was about to sink. His entire being seemed to have dimmed and lost his edge. Wake up! The shout resounded through the air. This was a Dao shout that shook Fan Jian awake. In the blink of an eye, he roared as well. His eyes turned vertical. The sword will that was on the verge of shattering was reconstructed. His entire being was blazing with boundless brilliance. His essence, qi, and spirit were even more terrifying than before. He exuded a supreme will to advance courageously. Come on! Fan Jian's sword could destroy the heavens and earth. Su Yan's sword could destroy the heavens. The 2 great sword embryos, separated by time and space, the instant they were about to clash, they both trembled at the same time, suppressed by a vast and ancient aura, making it difficult for the edges of their swords to continue clashing. Jian Jingshan widened his eyes. He really felt that Fan Jian was dead. He was about to perish. In the end, at the crucial moment, they both stabilized at the same time and didn't erupt into a bloody struggle. This made him gasp for breath fiercely. His entire back was covered in cold sweat. If they really fought together, the consequences would be unimaginable. Pooh! Fan Jian coughed out a mouthful of blood and knelt on one knee. His hair was disheveled and his face was pale. Su Yan's physical body staggered. Although he didn't fall to the ground, the qi and blood in his body were in disarray. His heart trembled. The sky-dominating sword art was truly terrifying. It could break through a supreme, treasured body and threaten Su Yan's life. However, it was impossible for Fan Jian to cut him down. Just the one chi into 3 pure ones was enough to protect himself. Even with Su Yan's physical foundation, the sky-dominating sword art might not necessarily be able to destroy Su Yan's vitality. Su Yan's entire body was filled with heart-wrenching pain. This wasn't because he was injured by Fan Jian, but because the sword edge of the immortal slaying sword had too great an impact on Su Yan. This secret technique was truly a self-inflicted injury. He wouldn't use it unless it was absolutely necessary. "I've lost," Fan Jian said and stood up. He was very direct. He had indeed lost. If it wasn't for Su Yan's shout, he would have fallen under the influence of the immortal slaying sword. Perhaps he wouldn't have the time to unleash the sword edge and would have been injured by Su Yan's immortal slaying sword. Of course, these were all unknowns. Who knew how far this battle would have progressed if it wasn't for Su Yan's reminder? Son of God, the 3 geniuses of the sword sect almost went crazy. How could it be considered a loss? The most intense battle hadn't even begun. Once Fan Jian lost, he would become Su Yan's disciple. I didn't win either. Su Yan admired Fan Jian's straightforwardness. From the battle until now, he had a full understanding of this person's character. He said lightly, "Let's call it a draw." "No," Fan Jian said straightforwardly. "You should take me as your disciple." His words caused the 3 geniuses of the sword sect to tremble in anger. However, Jian Xiuxiu and the others didn't know whether to laugh or cry when they heard what he said next. "Teach me your ultimate art. I'll help you develop it," Fan Jian said in a serious tone. His eyes were burning with passion as if he had seen a rare treasure. Su Yan's sword art had left a deep impression in his heart. He would never forget it. If he could master this peerless technique, he would be able to combine it with the heaven-dominating sword art and the immortal slaying sword. He believed that he would be able to reach the top of the monarch ranking. Su Yan said with a dark expression, "Now's not the time to talk about this. There's still a great fortune in the sword domain. It should be the battle between you and me that brought it out." Su Yan was full of anticipation. This was the fortune that he couldn't find. He didn't expect it to be brought out with a special method. It was beyond Su Yan's expectations. No, Jian Jingshan was like a tiger whose tail had been stepped on. He quickly shouted, "This is the fortune of our sword sect. Outsiders, how dare you?" Su Yan looked at Jian Jingshan coldly and shouted, "If you dare to say no, don't even think about leaving. All of you can stay here. You're too arrogant." Jian Jingshan was furious. Could it be that the 4 of them couldn't suppress Xia Kunlun even if they worked together? "Stop talking. Let him go." Fan Jian smiled bitterly. He knew very well that the young Devil King was Xia Kunlun, and Xia Kunlun was also the young Devil King. This was definitely the most powerful divine art in history, the Qi Trinity. Once Su Yan went crazy and unleashed this shocking divine art, who would be able to fight against him? Even if the 4 of them worked together, they might not be able to stop Su Yan. He didn't feel defeated. He felt that he had lost to Su Yan because of his secret art. At the same time, he had a deep fear of Su Yan. Where did this guy come from? The young Devil King and Xia Kunlun were definitely not his true identity. He must be hiding another identity. All in all, Su Yan was as mysterious as an abyss. Fan Jian's heart palpitated. This person had too many trump cards. If they continued fighting, they would definitely lose miserably. The reason why Su Yan fought with him for 3 days and 3 nights was to train himself. In the future, he would have to face many situations. He might even have to face existences stronger than Fan Jian. He had to make himself stronger. At this moment, Su Yan's eyes were fixed on the mysterious passage that appeared in the 4th paradise. The ancient passage was filled with the aura of great destruction. It affected one's mind, and it was hard to see anything on the surface. What does this place have to do with the mysterious skeleton? Su Yan thought to himself. The 4 legacy spaces in his primordial spirit couldn't withstand it and were about to fly out. This meant that the sword catacomb ruins must be closely related to the mysterious skeleton. It might even be related to the heaven-destroying sword Dao. Whoosh! In an instant, Su Yin rushed into the passage. Quick, let's go. Jian Jingshan was anxious. Fan Jian couldn't wait either. There was another passage in the Four Sacred Sword domain. There were no records of this in the Sword Sect. This meant that the Sword Sect founder might not have known that there was a hidden legacy space here. This made Fan Jian overjoyed. After all, he had obtained the true inheritance of the heavenly He Gem and Sword. Perhaps he could really obtain a heaven-defying opportunity. At the thought of this, Fan Jian let out an excited laugh. It was a little wretched and made people shudder. However, the moment the experts of the Four Swords sect rushed in, it was as if they had barged into the purgatory of gods and devils. Jian Xiuxiu was terrified. She felt like she was being dismembered. It was a horrible sight. Her entire body was about to explode. What's this? Jian Jingshan's scalp went numb. In the purgatory world, he felt like he was dying. Even his soul was about to be extinguished. In fact, they couldn't even see or hear anything during the entire process. Everything was blurry. Only the powerful sword radiance was slashing at the flesh, the primordial spirit, life, and memories. They were about to lose everything. They were going to be robbed of everything. Puff, puff, puff. The three great disciples of the Sword Sect were sent flying in unison. They spat out mouthfuls of blood. There was still fear in their eyes. They couldn't regain their senses for a long time. After half an incense stick's time, they gradually regained their spirits. They were silent, dazed, and finally sighed. We're too weak. We can't enter the creation space at all. The three of them were utterly disappointed. The great creation was right in front of them, but they couldn't get anything. They didn't even have the right to enter the door. Fortunately, the saint went in. Otherwise, this creation would have been snatched away by Xia Kunlun. Just as the Sword Sect's third disciple finished speaking, a figure flew out of the mysterious space. Accompanied by a scream, he fell to the ground. He struggled violently and quickly got up. Saint! The expressions of the three great geniuses of the Sword Sect changed drastically. Fan Jian was also sent out. F***, we're in big trouble. Fan Jian wanted to cry. The four great geniuses of the Sword Sect couldn't compare to Xia Kunlun. All of them were sent out. Could it be that they couldn't get the inheritance inside? Were they going to be intercepted by Su Yin? Xia Kunlun. After waiting for a while, Fan Jian shouted anxiously, "Big brother, we can't be so rude. This is the Sword Sect's land of creation. You can't take it all for yourself. If the old monsters of my clan find out, they might pull out your tendons and skin you alive." Jian Jingshan and the others were extremely anxious. They wanted to inform the Sword Sect's true immortals. However, their faces turned green. There were many Sword Sect's true immortals gathered here, but the Four Saints' Sword Realm didn't have the right to enter, let alone take away the creation inside. Big brother, did you hear that? The old man from the Sword Sect will kill me. Give me a way out. Fan Jian kept shouting and begging. He sounded as miserable as he could. He wailed and howled for a long time. His throat was almost smoking, and his voice was hoarse. He was just short of crying for his parents. The three great geniuses of the Sword Sect had dark expressions. They wanted to say, "Can you not be like this? No matter what, you're the Sword Sect saint. Can you pay more attention to your image?" However, they did not expect that Su Yan's figure would appear in the mysterious tunnel. He waved at Fan Jian helplessly. "Stop shouting. My ears are about to explode. Come in. I'll take you flying." "Big brother, huh? Big brother, take me flying." Fan Jian shouted excitedly and rushed in impatiently. "Big brother, I want to go too. Big brother, bring me along. I want to go in and take a look as well. I'll be your assistant." Jian Jingshan and the others could no longer hold it in. They couldn't care less about their image. They shouted at the inheritance space, hoping that Su Yin would bring them in. Chapter 1504. Arriving at the mysterious space again, Fan Jian was still in unbearable pain. The entire space was huge, and it was as though a destructive universe was rotating, wanting to bury Fan Jian's life force completely. It was difficult to survive in an ancient world for long periods of time. Even someone as strong as Su Yin couldn't stay in this world for long periods of time. This is a safe place. Fan Jian was surprised when he realized that Su Yin had thrown him into a space-time node. The influence of this world had disappeared, but he could still feel that once he broke out, he would definitely be subjected to inhumane torture. Big brother, what are you doing? Fan Jian saw that Su Yin had gone to another space-time node, and he asked in surprise, "Is there some kind of fortune here? Why can't I see it at all?" Su Yin seemed to be very silent as he stood on the space-time node. Scenes of mountains of corpses and seas of blood appeared in his eyes, inch by inch, accompanied by endless sword scars. This corner of the world was like billions of sword scars arranged in a row, and the scene was ever-changing. It was constantly eroding Su Yan's mind, causing his body to tremble slightly. Sword formation diagram. Following Su Yan's eyes, Fan Jian was shocked. This was a huge sword formation diagram. He actually didn't feel anything, which meant that the sword formation diagram was in a static state. This made Fan Jian's heart tremble. How strong was this killing formation world? Even in a static state, it had almost tortured them to death. Big Brother is indeed Big Brother, and he's also a grandmaster of strange arts. Fan Jian's face was full of envy. How could he not know that the young Devil King had rebuilt the broken structure of the ancient Celestial Court in the ruins of the Celestial Court? He had killed hundreds of Xian people's top experts, and even the true immortals of the great firmament had been sacrificed alive by him. In the end, the supreme leader of the Xian people had taken action, suppressing the structure of the Celestial Court. After that battle, the young Devil King's name spread far and wide, and countless geniuses were convinced. After all, he was only an immortal, yet he had done such a world-shaking thing. Even Fan Jian was convinced. Now that he saw Su Yin concentrating on studying the sword formation diagram, he stopped talking and waited patiently. What a terrifying sword formation diagram. Even with the support of the heaven-opening brush, it's 10,000 times more difficult for me to decipher the mysteries of the circulation of the sword mark. What kind of sword formation diagram is this? The more Su Yin looked at it, the more shocked he became. The area covered by the entire sword array was extremely vast. He estimated that with his current cultivation, it would take him at least 10,000 years to completely grasp the profound meaning behind the operation of the entire sword array. Who could afford to wait? Even if the mysterious Sky Sect's old ancestor came, he might not be able to break the sword formation. To decipher the sword formation, the most important thing was to be proficient in the way of the heaven-destroying sword. Previously, Su Yin had tried to decipher the formation using the mystical gate secret technique, but he had failed. He could not see through any ultimacy. This meant that this sword formation diagram was so heaven-defying that it did not belong to the ranks of mystical sects. Only when he combined it with the heaven-destroying sword Dao would he be qualified to decipher it. It was difficult to estimate how long the ancient sword diagram had existed. There were a total of 4 safe zones, which could also be called the 4 great formation cores. However, the 4 great formation cores were missing formation discs, which meant that the sword formation diagram was not complete. Since it's related to the way of the heaven-destroying sword, I'll call it the heaven-destroying sword formation. Su Yan's gaze scanned the sword formation diagram. He wanted to fully decipher it, but he did not have the time. If Su Yin wanted to activate the sword formation diagram, he might be able to open the treasure space here. This was also the most powerful formation that Su Yin had come into contact with ever since he entered the cultivation world. Su Yan's eyes observed the sword marks around the sword formation diagram inch by inch. In his eyes, it was as if there were billions of blood-red killing swords, filled with the power to kill gods and immortals. After an unknown period of time, Su Yin, who had been silent and motionless, coughed up blood violently. He was dizzy, and his primordial spirit was about to collapse. Crack! A sword mark even appeared on the top of his head. It had penetrated his entire body and was about to split him apart. What's going on? Fan Jin's expression changed drastically. What was going on? Su Yin was severely injured and was about to die. He fell into a pool of blood, and his aura dimmed. Soon, he lay down and began to sleep. After a day, Su Yin woke up. His tired mind had improved, but his injuries were severe. He was injured by the sword formation diagram. After observing it for a long time, he felt as if he was in a world of billions of killing swords that wanted to tear Su Yan's body apart. Buzz. Su Yin took out the chaos liquid. This was a rare substance that was nurtured by the strongest heavenly tribulation. It had a shocking effect on healing injuries. His bleeding body glowed, and he stole the chaos liquid to heal his injuries quickly. Soon, Su Yin recovered and stood at his peak state. He continued to observe the mysteries of a corner of the sword formation diagram. Fan Jian's eyes widened. He was also a chatterbox, but in this situation, he forced himself to hold back. He was helpless. He could not help and could only wait for Su Yin to finish studying the mysteries of the sword formation diagram. Gradually, Su Yin sank into the depths of the sword formation diagram. He could not extricate himself, as if he were sorting out billions of profound characters. He was sorting out a path that could help him. It's already been half a month. Fan Jin shouldn't have encountered any danger, right? The sword sect experts gathered in the sword tomb were restless. An entire half a month had passed, but there was no news from the mysterious inheritance space. No, Fan Jian's primordial spirit lamp is still lit. He hasn't encountered any danger. I wonder what treasures are hidden in the mysterious tunnel. That Xia Kunlun is too terrifying. Even Fan Jian can't suppress him. Is the celestial court going to rise up? No matter what, Xia Kunlun brought Fan Jian to the mysterious space, and it caused me to feel extremely uneasy. I wonder what exactly is the background of this person called Xia Kunlun. He was actually led by the nose in the territory of my sword sect. The sword tomb world was not peaceful, but it was useless for them to be anxious. No one could enter the mysterious tunnel. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. In this 1.5 months, Su Yin rarely rested. However, he was almost out of chaos liquid. He could only rely on the immortal Tao stone to recover. It's been 2 months. Fan Jian was a little impatient. In these 2 months, they had not communicated at all. However, Fan Jian clearly sensed that Su Yan's aura had become much stronger. He was constantly being baptized by the heaven-vanquishing sword formation, causing Su Yan's soul to strengthen. His body was full and translucent, like a true immortal, powerful and terrifying. What a joke. The heaven-vanquishing sword formation was an unparalleled killing formation. In the process of Su Yin exploring the sword formation diagram, he was constantly being tempered by the powerful sword intent, which imperceptibly increased Su Yan's combat strength. Another month had passed. In this 1 month, Su Yin rarely slept. After a long period of contact with the sword formation diagram, Su Yin was no longer injured. He also understood the sword formation diagram more and more. He could not help but sigh. These 3 months were tough and unbearable. Almost every day, he was exploring the sword mountain. Life and death were in an instant. At the same time, Su Yan's gains were great. He had already understood some of the mysteries of the heaven-vanquishing sword formation. This was an unparalleled killing formation formed by the combination of 4 major sword formations. Similarly, each sword formation had the power to destroy the world. If I, Su Yin, master the heaven-vanquishing sword formation, I will have to use it. Even if I master one of them, it will be enough to become an immortal orthodoxy's protective formation. Su Yin was speechless. Another half a month passed. Fan Jian could not help but ask, I say, how much more time do you need? Don't tell me you need to spend 1.5 years to decipher the sword formation diagram. The battle for supremacy in the 10,000 tribe battlefield is about to begin. Hearing that, Su Yin frowned and said, if only 1.5 years. Given the complexity of this sword formation diagram, it will take at least 10,000 years to decipher it. Fan Jian was dumbfounded. He pointed at Su Yin and roared, 10,000 years? My dear mother, don't tell me you want me to stay here and accompany you for 10,000 years? Don't make a fuss. It will affect my deciphering of the formation. Su Yin looked solemn. He was now inscribing formation marks with a heaven-opening writing brush. This was the strongest treasure of the mystical gate. With the help of the heaven-opening writing brush, Su Yin was confident that he could activate the heaven-vanquishing sword formation. "My dear brother, let me out. I promise I won't say a word." Fan Jian almost cried. He did not want to stay here for 10,000 years. Who knew what would happen to the outside world after he went out? Su Yin was silent and did not respond. His mind sank into the secret residence of time and space. His avatar was inscribing the formation diagram. 3 days passed. Su Yin was satisfied. When his essence spirit returned to his body, he felt a chill. "Big brother, my dear brother, you can't leave me alone. 10,000 years. I, Fan Jian, will become a progenitor. I can't wait for 10,000 years. Big brother, let me go. Let me go." Big brother, Fan Jian was really driven crazy. He was worried that Su Yin would leave him alone. "Stop arguing. Let's break the formation now." Su Yin was helpless. "Break the formation? Didn't you say 10,000 years?" Fan Jian was driven crazy by Su Yan's torture. He also changed his expression very quickly. He stood up excitedly. There might be opportunities hidden in the area covered by the formation diagram. It's not about breaking the formation. Activate the killing formation. Su Yin rushed to the formation eye, where he was, and threw out a formation diagram to Fan Jian. He said, "Listen to my instructions later. Activate the formation diagram. If we work together to activate the sword formation diagram, we might be able to open the land of fortune." This formation diagram. Fan Jian looked at the formation diagram. It was as if he had rushed into a vast battlefield. He saw billions of killing swords unsheathing and wanted to tear his soul apart. This shocked Fan Jian. The concept contained in the light formation diagram was already very impressive. He thought that if he became Su Yan's disciple, there would be too many benefits. He could become a master respected by billions of creatures. This was inscribed with the heaven-opening brush. It would be strange if it didn't subdue this kid. Su Yan's other clone rushed to the second formation, I, and took control of the second killing formation diagram. He actually created 4 great formation diagrams in such a short time. Fan Jian was even more shocked. His heart was full of admiration. He was really convinced. However, when he saw a snow-white little beast taking control of the 4th sword formation diagram, Fan Jian's face almost collapsed. He said, "Big brother, I also know a clone technique. I think it's better to let me do it. After all, this killing formation is so strong. If we encounter any accident, we might all die here." Roar. These words angered the little white dragon. It let out a violent roar at Fan Jian. It could see Fan Jian's disdain for it. "You little thing, are you still not happy?" Fan Jian was happy. How strong could a creature that looked like a puppy be? "Don't underestimate my junior brother. You might not be able to defeat him," Su Yin said shamelessly. What kind of great existence was a 10 transformations true dragon? It was destined to become a saint in the future. "What? I can't defeat a puppy." Fan Jian was angry. He pointed at the little white dragon and said angrily, "Bring it on. See how I'll deal with it." Roar. Suddenly, a thunderous roar exploded, accompanied by a huge, majestic figure descending into the lower realm. It was like a giant, vicious beast that had returned from ancient times. It took heavy steps, its mouth and nose spewing out yin and yang qi. It looked down on the world and glared at Fan Jian with divine might. In these past few months, it drank a bowl of Su Yan's precious blood every day. Its body became stronger and stronger. Once it transformed, its aura was a lot more terrifying than before. The horns on its forehead were thick and solid, and they interweaved with extremely profound patterns. They could easily pierce the heavens. Its figure was tall and mighty. It released waves of threatening sounds towards Fan Jian. Moreover, its large golden claws scratched the ground. It looked like it was going to charge forward and defeat Fan Jian. Chapter 1505. Without a doubt, the Long Daesong's aura was quite abnormal. His figure was also extraordinarily powerful. He looked down at Fan Jian from above. The horns on his forehead glowed, and even the yin-yang diagram sprinkled down, creating an impenetrable divine radiance. This also caused the Long Daesong's aura to be too shocking. It was as if he could swallow the heavens, the earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars. He looked down on Fanjian. Mother asterisk her. Fanjian was so angry that he was trembling. However, he was also frightened by the Long Daesong's attitude. What kind of creature was this? Was he really a hollow immortal? Brother, what's your teacher's background? Does he still accept disciples? Fanjian's expression was extremely abnormal. His heart couldn't take it anymore. What was this? He boasted that he was qualified to be in the top 10 of the monarch ranking. However, after seeing Xia Kunlun and this heaven-defying creature, he felt that his future was bleak. How deep was the young Devil King's water? How many trump cards did he have? Was he a sword cultivator? Was he a supreme treasure body? Was he a battle maniac? Or was he a grandmaster? In short, Fanjian suffered a great blow. He was convinced of Su Yan's strength, and even worshipped the teacher behind him. What kind of person could nurture existences like the young Devil King and the Long Daesong? Could it be that the ancient celestial court was overseen by a terrorist or an invincible existence? In short, Fanjian wanted to follow Su Yan to become his teacher immediately. Maybe I'll see him soon, Su Yan muttered in his heart. He was full of expectations as he shouted, "Activate the sword formation. The process will be very dangerous. You must hold on." Su Yan's serious expression made Fanjian's heart tremble. He didn't ask any more questions. Important matters were more important. "Activate the formation," Su Yan shouted. The 4 sword formations that he had painstakingly researched burst out at the same time. Boom! The 4 great sword diagrams burned as if they had transformed into 4 great sword embryos. Overflowing sword scars filled the air. This was extremely terrifying and intimidating. Fanjian, who was in control of the sword diagrams, could clearly see how terrifying they were. Once they were brought out, they would definitely be able to slay powerful enemies. The 4 great sword formation diagrams were resplendent and dazzling as they awakened one after another. The sword scars that blossomed swept through the heaven-destroying sword formation that had been dormant for a long time. In this short period of time, the 3 experts were like statues, as if they were petrified. When the ancient sword diagram awoke from its slumber, the energy fluctuations were too intense. Thick sword rays were released one after another. Hundreds of millions of sword rays were released. Every sword gleam was powerful enough to sever the river of time. How terrifying! Fanjian trembled. He felt that this was much more terrifying than the Sword Sex Grand Protective Formation. After all, the Sword Sex Grand Protective Formation had been inscribed by their primogenitor, and it was said that it had taken over 1,000 years to complete. However, the sword formation diagram that had awakened here was terrifying beyond compare. Just how powerful was this formation? Could it be that this was the most powerful killing formation in history? Su Yan's hair stood on end. He felt that if he wasn't standing in the eye of the formation, he would have died instantly. Even a true immortal of the great, all-embracing heaven would be no exception. Perhaps this sword formation diagram could kill even a supreme being expert. The ancient sword formation diagram had been dormant for a long time. Finally, it released boundless sword rays. During this process, strange phenomena appeared. Sometimes, it was a sea of blood that filled the sky. Sometimes, it was a sword that cut through time. Sometimes, it was a sea of stars that collapsed. Sometimes, it was peerlessly terrifying. Boom! In an instant, the eye of the formation that they were standing on changed. It was as if it had turned into the 4 great ancient sword embryos, flowing with an extremely powerful aura. It was as if the 4 great invincible experts were awakening. This kind of aura was extremely difficult for them to bear. Fanjian even saw the blurry sword embryos. It was as if the sword sex sky He Gemin's sword had sunk here. What exactly is this? Fanjian almost went crazy. What kind of sword formation diagram was this? Could it be that the Sky He Gemin sword was only one of the immortal swords in the sword formation diagram? Could it be that this sword formation diagram required the four great ultimate treasures to unleash its strongest state? He had never heard of such a terrifying formation. Could there be such a ridiculous formation in the world? The three great experts let out painful cries at the same time. Su Yan's two incarnations were flickering and were about to be torn apart by the blurry, immortal swords above the eye of the formation. Endless time has passed. The four great immortal swords that were inserted into the sword formation diagram in the past have also disappeared for a long time. However, their remnant sharpness is just too incredible. Su Yan cried out in pain. His entire body seemed to be pressed to the ground and slashed with the immortal slaying guillotine. The process was truly excruciating. Even his primordial spirit was about to explode and be destroyed in an instant. Long Dae-sung also cried out in pain. The blurry immortal sword's edges that were slightly exposed were extremely difficult to bear. His treasure body was about to be cut apart. Big brother, I can't take it anymore. Fan Jian was about to go crazy from the torture. Although he had once merged with the Sky He Gemin Sword's sword intent, once the Sky He Gemin Sword's sharpness was released, who could match it? Who could resist it? Even a golden immortal would most likely be hacked to death. Hold on, the passageway is about to take shape. Su Yan roared. His eyes were wide open. The stronger the sword formation diagram revolved, the more Su Yan felt that the four great sword Dao legacies in his primordial spirit were trembling more and more. Finally, streak after streak of sword radiance erupted from his primordial spirit, extremely blurry and mysterious, not displaying much power. However, when they truly hacked down, everything seemed to vanish, as if the entire space-time, the entire passage of time, the entire epic disappeared. It was a very frightening scene. The four sword lights slashed on the killing formation diagram, accompanied by a series of earth-shattering sounds, shocking the past and the present, appeared. It was as if the sound transmitted from a distant era was also like the opening of the ancestral court that had been sealed for billions of years. It was a very strange, ancient road that extended out. It was steaming with the radiance of time and space, resplendent and overflowing. Su Yan rushed up and stepped onto the road of time and space. Big brother, take me and fly. Fan Jian roared excitedly. Big brother, don't leave me behind. Take me and fly. Take me and fly. Fan Jian was so anxious that he stomped his feet. He was really worried that Su Yan would leave him behind and step onto the road of time and space alone. Just from the power of the unparalleled killing formation, it was enough to deduce what kind of land of fortune was inside. Su Yan had a helpless look on his face. He did not give up on Fan Jian. The inheritance that Fan Jian had obtained was probably greatly related to the mysterious skeleton. Perhaps even the entire sword sect was related to the mysterious skeleton. He directly reached out and grabbed Fan Jian, bringing him to the road of time and space. As for the transformed Long Dae-sung, he directly transformed. The little white dragon's current state was still very special. Being in this state for a long time would cause it to lose a lot of life force. Let's go. Su Yan stepped forward and advanced towards the road of time and space. Fan Jian followed closely behind. However, when he took this step, a powerful pressure that originated from the river of time suddenly swept over. Fan Jian was terrified. He felt like he was going to die. In the process, his eyes turned black and he was about to faint. After an unknown amount of time, Fan Jian came back to his senses. He was horrified. How far did they cross just now? Did they cross an era of the universe? If not for the road of time and space isolating the invasion of time, Fan Jian would have died of old age. It was impossible for him to survive. This was the influence of time. At their level, it was impossible for them to resist it. Big brother, if we really go in, can we still come back alive? Why do I feel that every step we take is crossing an era of the universe? The space-time that we cross is too vast. Hearing this, Su Yan frowned and said, "What are you afraid of? I will bring you flying. Follow me. Let's go and harvest the fortune." Fan Jian's face darkened. Su Yin was not afraid because his incarnation was left in the outside world. Kid, if I really die here, my incarnation will also die instantly. Su Yin said helplessly. The reason why I brought you in is just in case. After all, you have obtained the inheritance here. If you really encounter a threat, you might be able to survive. I will listen to you, big brother. Fan Jian chuckled. He was looking forward to this trip more and more. Just like this, the two of them walked step by step toward the end of the space-time tunnel. With every step, they had to rest for half a day. The distance they crossed was too far. Su Yin could not imagine how far they had crossed. It was as if every step was an era. It was as if they were returning to prehistory, returning to an extremely terrifying world. After hundreds of steps, they still did not reach the end. Su Yin felt more and more shocked. How far was this road? They also seemed extremely small on this road. After taking hundreds of steps, they suddenly had an illusion. It was as if they had become ancient people and returned to billions of years ago, before the creation of the world. When they were about to cross to the end, they found that the road ahead was broken. There was a very deep space-time crack, like an abyss of billions of years. Big brother, the road is broken. Fan Jian's eyes were red. He was unwilling. They had already come here, but the road was broken. Step out? That was really courting death. The broken space-time road ahead was like a universe era buried. Whoever could step out, even the Supreme Grandmasters, would most likely die in old age. Su Yin was also silent. He was also unwilling. After spending so much time, could it be that they could not follow this road to the land of fortune? Could it be that they could only give up and go back the way they came? Suddenly, Su Yin's body was blazing. The Origin Sutra was rotating and chanting on its own. It emitted a grand aura and rushed toward the broken space-time road. Boom! In an instant, a loud sound erupted and a tsunami reached the sky. The broken space-time road burst out a brilliant rain of time. It was as if it had been silent for billions of years. Now, under the guidance of the Origin Sutra, it was shining and shining. It was even smelting and was about to reconstruct a space-time road. How is this possible? Su Yin was shocked. The Origin Sutra was operating. It was triggering some matter and reshaping the broken space-time road. This did not make sense. The mysterious skeleton said that when it existed, the universe did not exist. According to this, the mysterious skeleton originated before the Celestial Court era. But why was the Origin Sutra blooming? Could it be that the Celestial Court once sent a powerhouse here to investigate? Could it be a celestial emperor who once ran through the Emperor's Road? Someone's here. Suddenly, an extremely grand emperor's aura bloomed. It was terrifying beyond compare. A figure appeared just like that, approaching from afar. It was as if it had traversed billions of years and appeared on the broken space-time road in an instant. That person's back was facing Su Yin. There was a big cauldron above his head, sprinkling down the light of eternity. Celestial Emperor. Su Yin cried out involuntarily. He felt that this was the ancient Celestial Court's Celestial Emperor. But in the next moment, Su Yin suddenly felt that this was not the ancient Celestial Court's Celestial Emperor he had met before. It was very likely that this was another Celestial Emperor. This was because this Celestial Emperor's aura was too grand. His majestic appearance alone was enough to support the entire Golden Age, surpassing both ancient and modern times. In fact, the reason why Su Yin was certain that he was the Celestial Emperor was mainly because he caught the aura of the Origin Sutra from this extremely grand figure. But the Origin Sutra he cultivated was full of primordial aura. This sutra seemed to be created by him. Plop! Fan Jian could not control himself and knelt down to worship the Celestial Emperor. There was nothing to be ashamed of. His achievements were too grand and worthy of worship. Roar! A dull, thunderous sound exploded. It was as if an explosion had occurred in ancient times. It was transmitted here and shook their souls. Boom! The peerless being came down and crashed into the long river of time. Along the way, the great historical stars were wailing. It came against the long river of time, its aura becoming more and more shocking. In the end, it burst out billions of reincarnation lights, broke through all blockades, and arrived beside the Celestial Emperor. Its aura was different from the Celestial Emperor's. The Celestial Emperor's majestic appearance alone shocked the ancients and dazzled the contemporaries. All rules and order could not be stopped, and were all scattered. This pitch-black creature that looked like a large black tiger dominated the world, overlooking the long river of time. It was extremely savage, smashing through everything and slaughtering its way here. It stood beside the Celestial Emperor and let out waves of low roars towards the broken space-time abyss. Chapter 1506. What a shocking scene. The majestic figure of the ancient celestial emperors suppressed the long river of time and stood above eternity, becoming the only one in the world. All matter dimmed. No matter how long time passed, no matter how astonishing the space-time tunnel was, everything fell into eternal silence under the majestic figure of the ancient celestial emperors. It was as if he was the master of the universe, the creator of time and space. Celestial Emperor Fan Jian prostrated himself in front of this figure and shouted excitedly. Who wouldn't be excited when they saw such an existence? The proud Fan Jian was completely subdued by his majestic figure. Su Yin was overwhelmed with emotions. He didn't expect to see the majestic figure of the Celestial Emperor here. No one knew how many generations of Celestial Emperors there were in the ancient Celestial Court. Not even Su Yin. However, Su Yin felt that this person was the strongest in history. He had never shown his true strength, but his aura and majesty alone caused the heaven and earth to fall into a state of eternal silence. The grand Tao prostrated beneath his feet, and all matter was suppressed. This was too majestic. It was hard to imagine what domain he was standing in. He didn't have any aura, vicissitudes, or traces. He stood there calmly and looked down on the past, present, and future. If Su Yin didn't master the beginning sutra and vaguely feel the majestic aura in his body, he wouldn't be able to tell that he was the Celestial Emperor of the Celestial Court. There was even an invincible creature that followed him to the lower realm. It crashed through the long river of time and rushed here. Even if it was infinitely terrifying and peerless, it was still a little dim in front of the majestic figure of the ancient celestial emperors. Su Yin and Fan Jian trembled. Their bodies and minds were about to collapse. What kind of creature was this? This seemingly ordinary black tiger was like an unrivaled supreme king overlooking the endless river of time. It made the great historical stars wail in grief, as if it was the most powerful expert in all of history. Even after a long time in space-time, its aura still seeped in, making their bodies and minds feel like they were about to be torn apart. It saw us. Fan Jian's scalp was about to explode. It was just an imprint left behind a long time ago, but it was powerful and invincible. Even after a long time, this imprint was watching Su Yin and Fan Jian. It's as if they've seen our arrival since a long time ago. Fan Jian stuttered, and his jaw almost fell off. Although the scene was blurry, he realized that the Tiger King was talking as if it was asking them a question. It seems to be. Su Yin felt goosebumps all over his body. A roaring sound faintly resounded in his ears. Words from the distant past swept over like a storm of history, wanting to tell them something. But as these words, as if the cycle of reincarnation was disintegrated, this Tiger King was engulfed by endless heavenly punishment, causing the words it spat out to be completely shattered. No sound could pass through, violating the natural order, and was blocked. Roar, the Tiger King roared. It was angry and dissatisfied. It let out a majestic roar towards the heavens and earth. This roar dispersed millions of punishments. It didn't receive any damage. It was furious, but there was nothing it could do. Too much time had passed. It was difficult to leave anything behind. Everything had been obliterated. Could it be that the invincible king has taken a fancy to my potential and wants to take me as his disciple and pass down his mantle? Fan Jian was very narcissistic. Su Yan's face darkened. He said in a low voice, "Don't talk nonsense. Be careful not to get into trouble. Fan Jian's heart trembled, and he quickly shut up. What they saw now was only a remnant scene. The big black tiger wanted to say something to them, but it didn't say in the end. The ancient celestial emperors used supreme laws to reconstruct the broken space-time cracks. It was as if he was reconstructing broken epics. It consumed supreme power. Su Yin could see that his figure was a little dim. How much energy did he lose? How much time did he spend? When this path was completely connected, everything they saw was blurry. Su Yin saw that the figures of the Sky Emperor and the big black tiger were slowly disappearing. They only left footprints one after another as they walked towards the distance. "Quick, follow me," Su Yin shouted. He realized that the path left behind by the ancient celestial emperors was about to disperse. "Big brother, bring me to fly." Fan Jian was excited. He grabbed Su Yan's arm, afraid that he would lose them. It was as if millions of years had passed. The footprints started to dim and were about to disappear. If they missed it, they would never be able to follow the ancient celestial emperors to his destination. Su Yin followed the path of the Sky Emperor and ascended to godhood step by step. With every step, Su Yan's body was blazing. It let out a Tao cry and auspicious signs. He was about to soar. "Big brother, what kind of opportunity did you get? Why didn't I get anything?" Fan Jian was anxious. He felt that Su Yin had gotten a heaven-defying opportunity. He followed the path of the Sky Emperor and ascended to godhood step by step. After dozens of steps, Su Yan's aura had already become majestic. He was like the master of the universe that dominated the starry sky, emitting an extremely holy light. With every step, Su Yin would stop for a day to digest and comprehend. Until now, his entire body was gushing with holy light and was filled with a primitive atmosphere. He was like a primitive heavenly king that walked out of a primitive world. Fan Jian was shocked. Su Yan's aura was too extraordinary. He felt suffocated. He felt the pressure of a flourishing age that was about to suppress him. How big of an opportunity was this? Every step of the old path left behind by the Heavenly Emperor was imprinted with unparalleled combat strength. It was equivalent to a supreme imprint. Su Yin used the beginning sutra to trigger the imprint and obtained a majestic and grand great Tao. But this Tao was too complicated and too difficult to understand. Su Yin could only obtain a little. After dozens of steps, his gains were not small. His entire body seemed to be constructed from primitive runes and was evolving the universe and the heavens. As a result, Su Yan's aura was magnificent and peerless. He was only an immortal, but his Tao was heaven-defying. Didn't the Tiger King take a fancy to me? Why didn't he leave an imprint? Fan Jian muttered. He opened his eyes wide and looked around, wanting to find the imprint left behind by the Tiger King. But unfortunately, there was no trace left behind. Fan Jian sighed repeatedly. The path of the Sky Emperor had come to an end. Su Yin was silent for 9 days and 9 nights. On this day, his eyes were wide open. His body released an invisible field that swept across the world. It was vast and magnificent. Boom! Su Yin clenched his fists. Heaven and earth trembled as he raised his hands. He felt that he could pierce through the heavens with a wave of his hand and suppress a continent with a raise of his hand. "Big brother, what did you get?" Fan Jian was terrified. He was suppressed and couldn't resist. What was this? Wasn't this too ridiculous? Su Yin came back to his senses and said, "I didn't get anything." Fan Jian's face drooped like a bullied wife. How could he bully people like this? He is invincible just by standing here. Su Yin said again and explained his state. He wasn't as crazy as Fan Jian thought. He was just borrowing the imprint left behind by the Sky Emperor. His Tao was divine. He was also thinking about what he had gained. Then he smiled. He had gained the essence and the origin. He was waiting for the day when he was strong enough to come in contact with the immortal Tao. Then his gains these days would naturally bloom. This is the beginning sutra. Su Yin murmured. He didn't know why, but this sutra was getting harder and harder to understand. Perhaps it was related to his gains these days. The ancient celestial emperors were too strong. When I step into the immortal Tao and sort out the immortal Tao, I will definitely be able to display the shocking effects of the beginning sutra. When the time comes, my gains here will bloom. Su Yin murmured and looked back. The Sky Emperor's path was still there. Unfortunately, it was useless to Su Yin. He could only walk this path once. Although he could walk it a second time, it was meaningless. He had already absorbed what he could. I don't know. What did the ancient celestial emperors go here for? Su Yin was shocked and whispered, "Could this Sky Emperor be the Sky Emperor who ran through the Emperor's path?" His heart skipped a beat. This had to be traced back too far. He couldn't be the first celestial emperor of the celestial court, right? Perhaps this path is very important. Su Yan's emotions surged. This place was also related to the mysterious skeleton. It contained his orthodoxy and inheritance. Could it be that the celestial court didn't exist when the mysterious skeleton was born? Even the Sky Emperor didn't exist. This was a terrifying clue. Su Yin couldn't wait to find out the truth. This was because it was very important. Perhaps he could find out the origin of the Emperor's path, and even the origin of the mysterious skeleton. There was a period of ancient history that had passed away, but it had some interaction with Su Yin. Let's go. Su Yin continued to walk forward. This path had also come to an end. Fan Jian's breathing was heavy. At the source of the tunnel, there was a black ancient path. The two looked at each other. Without much hesitation, they rushed in. However, the moment they entered, Su Yin and Fan Jian trembled. These two powerful life forms were about to collapse and die. Wong. Fan Jian's forehead burned brightly. A sword edge burst out, filled with a heaven-splitting aura. It tore apart the billowing darkness and the dark matter that invaded his body. However, no matter how shocking the sword edge was, it couldn't completely tear apart the darkness. The world of darkness once again surged toward them. Billions of black tsunamis rushed toward them, trying to bury them in the darkness. Let's go. Fan Jian roared. This was a great crisis that was about to engulf them. At the critical moment, Su Yin reached out and grabbed Fan Jian's arm. At the same time, he stretched out his other hand. The 9 continents' heaven cauldrons exploded, flowing with a dim light that isolated the darkness. Demonic fog, dark calamity. Su Yan's eyes widened. There was an endless amount of demonic fog here. He was shocked and in disbelief. Could it be that the lost history had been swallowed by the darkness? Could it be that the world billions of years ago had been buried by the demonic fog? Dark calamity. Fan Jian was terrified. How could he not know about the dark calamity that had caused the Xianhuang celestial domain to degenerate? However, there was one here. It even formed billions of tsunamis and roared violently. The amount of demonic fog was endless. Once it flowed out, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even the powerful 9 continents heaven cauldrons couldn't open up a safe space. There was too much dark matter. It was like a black sea was churning. Tsunamis came one after another, enough to destroy everything. Slash of the epic. Suddenly, Su Yin heard an ancient voice. In this mysterious world, a sword radiance that transcended the past, present, and future suddenly erupted. Billions of rumbling dark calamities were suddenly split apart by the sword radiance, cutting off the epic river. Fan Jian was silent and couldn't say a word. Slash of the epic was domineering. It shocked the 6 paths of reincarnation, opened up the epic tunnel, and cut off the flow of dark matter. It's him, it's him. Su Yin was overwhelmed with emotions. It was definitely the mysterious skeleton that had performed the strongest skill of the sky-destroying sword path, Slash of the epic. No matter how strong the enemy was, the slash of the sword separated the epic river. It was truly unparalleled and indescribable. Chapter 1507. Slashing the epic with a single slash. Separated by 2 banks, they watched the darkness churning. Despite being separated by the river of epics, they could still sense the horror of the darkness. Once they got close, their bodies and souls would be destroyed. Fan Jian was like a statue. He was thinking if the darkness had entered the Emperor Road through this passage, would the Emperor Road still exist? Or would the undying heavenly domain still exist? Now, the slashing epic had appeared and split the river of epics apart, isolating the howling of the demonic fog. Su Yin and Fan Jian stood in a safe world, separated by the river of epics. They looked at the majestic scene of another world. At the riverbank, the wind howled and the heavenly wind danced. Darkness billowed. This was the apocalyptic storm of darkness. It drowned the stars in the sky, buried the golden age, and buried a once glorious ancient universe. It looked like they were separated by two worlds. Perhaps one day, they would rule the world again and plunge the undying heavenly domain into an era of darkness. Big Brother, will they come out again? Fan Jian's tone was low. No one knew how strong the darkness was, but the Xianhuang heavenly domain had changed because of it. Everyone knew that the ancestors of the Xian people had joined forces with a few ancestors to destroy the Celestial Court's branch in a nine-cauldron continent. However, the people did not forget that the Celestial Court was destroyed because of the darkness. Otherwise, the Celestial Court would not have been destroyed. Who knows? Su Yin sighed. He knew how terrifying the darkness was. Back then, he almost died in the darkness. He barely survived because he crawled out from hell. Su Yin could not explain what the darkness was. Now that he and Fan Jian saw the darkness here, they could not calm down and thought about many things. Could the entire Emperor Road have been invaded by the darkness? Su Yin thought to himself, back then, the ancient celestial emperors penetrated the Emperor Road and rebuilt this broken path. They must have seen the darkness. Could it be that even the powerful ancient celestial emperors could not resolve the darkness? If we were to say that the entire Emperor Road is an ancient universe that was once invaded by darkness, then there should be other areas of Emperor Road that are still plagued by darkness. Could it be that the Emperor Road's environment was preserved because it was sealed and suppressed? Su Yin murmured. Soon after, he laughed. This wasn't something they could worry about. No matter what the darkness calamity was, it wasn't something they could fight against. At this moment, Su Yan's eyes were focused on the world that was isolated by the sword mark. The world was very large. Millions and millions of years had passed, and this place was very desolate. The withered, yellow world was in ruins. There was no energy fluctuation, no natural treasures. It was lifeless, and no clues could be found. Su Yan explored some places, wanting to find treasures. Swish, swish. Fan Jian's speed was very fast as he rushed toward a destination. In particular, the sword edge gushing out of his frontal bone was unstable. This was the sword edge of the hegemon sword, and it was the life-saving item that the sword sex ancestor had sealed in his sea of consciousness. Now, the sword edge was trembling chaotically. This made Fan Jian pleasantly surprised. He had arrived at the source of the sound, and within the rubble, he dug out a silver stone tablet. This as Su Yin was moved. There were some special patterns on the silver stone tablet, and when combined together, they formed a stone carving of a human body. After a long time, there was still sword will seeping into the stone carving. He had to admit that it was very impressive. What kind of inheritance was this? Su Yin opened his mind and explored the silver stone tablet, but he was comprehending the sword will. Boom! In an instant, Su Yan's entire body trembled, and blood flowed out of his pores. It was as if he had been slashed by millions of killing swords. He couldn't control his body and was about to collapse. So powerful. Su Yin was shocked, and so was Fan Jian. The two powerhouses looked at each other, and then the power of their primordial spirits erupted at the same time. They fused together and began to explore the contents of the ancient stone tablet together. This was because the sword will on the stone tablet was already quite blurry and would disappear at any time. If they had come a few days later, perhaps the shocking inheritance recorded on the stone tablet would disappear forever and be lost forever. Therefore, Su Yin and Fan Jian decided to explore it together. The information on the stone tablet was already quite blurry, and they might only be able to see it once. Sword Body Art. It was an ordinary name, and it didn't sound too imperious. However, as he studied it, he felt that he was comprehending a supreme treasure. Could it be a supreme art in the field of sword Tao? A shocking secret art that had been extinct for millions of years was presented before them. Suyin was excited as he studied it crazily. He had to seize the opportunity, as the more he studied, the more blurry the words on the stone tablet were. In less than half a day, the patterns on the stone tablet had completely disappeared, and the entire stone tablet had turned into ashes. Suyin and Fan Jian remained silent as they sat with their legs crossed, trying to comprehend the sword body art. During the process, their bodies kept trembling as blood flowed out, and even their bones were broken. The scene was quite frightening. Fan Jian of the Sword Sect, a peerless genius who was considered to be one of the strongest contenders on the monarch ranking in the future. What's so difficult about it? Suyin placed his hands behind his back and said arrogantly, "My master's cultivation is very high. Although he doesn't recognize me as his disciple, it's just a sword body art. It's not difficult for me to learn it." "Don't talk nonsense." Fan Jian felt that Suyin was threatening him, not recognizing him as his disciple. "It's fine if you don't believe me." Suyin shook his head and was too lazy to argue with him. I believe you, I believe you." Fan Jian quickly chased after Suyin, wanting to know more about his master. Soon, Suyin told Fan Jian about Fairy Xia, which made Fan Jian doubt his life. Suyin had already sworn, and it was impossible for him to lie. "Why didn't you recommend me to your master?" Fan Jian was angry, and he felt that he was the most suitable person to walk the path of the sword. "Do I know you that well?" Suyin sneered. "Kid, don't think that we're brothers just because I brought you here for a walk." "Big brother, my dear big brother, don't treat me like an outsider." Fan Jian's face was full of smiles. His experience in this period of time was enough for him to brag for the rest of his life. He even met the ancient celestial emperors, and he felt that he had lived in vain. Only by following Suyin could he experience the wonders of life. At this time, Suyin came to a certain place. He had already explored the entire small world. Only the terrain here was unfathomable to Suyin. Seeing Suyin's increasingly serious expression, Fan Jian shut up. Suyin circled around the terrain, walking around a dozen times. Finally, the sky-opening brush appeared in his palm. "Open for me." Suyin roared and pointed at the terrain node with the sky-opening brush. It was as if a heavenly sword had been stabbed there, and the terrain collapsed with a rumble. The earth collapsed and rocks rolled. A thick, murderous aura gushed out from the earth's crust. "Big brother, let me do it." Fan Jian took the lead, drew the killing sword on his back, and was about to slash forward. "Get out of the way." Suyin was shocked and hurriedly pulled him back, afraid that he would act rashly. Boom! In an instant, a murderous aura surged out from the collapsed soil like the sea. Suyin's body stiffened, and his blood almost stopped flowing. Even his soul was on the verge of being torn apart. Fan Jian was stunned. He felt a chill from head to toe. He had never encountered such a terrifying killing intent that was enough to extinguish one's soul. Fortunately, their essence spirits were strong enough to withstand it. Huff! Suyin fiercely blew a breath of air, blowing away the dirt that filled the sky. It's true. Suyin saw a blood-colored sword formation diagram and sucked in a breath of cold air. Then, he was extremely excited. The harvest was too great. This was not a weapon, nor was it a secret art. This blood-colored sword formation diagram was definitely the heaven-vanquishing sword formation. "What's this?" Fan Jian moved closer and stared with wide eyes. Then, he felt a piercing pain in his eyes and blood flowed out. Next, it was as if he had fallen into a sea of swords and was undergoing the cruelest tempering of his swordsmanship. Bam! Suyin sent Fan Jian flying with a slap of his sleeve. Fan Jian fell to the ground and flew far away. He came back to his senses in a daze and recalled the scene from before. Then, he coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and he was weak. Suyin shook his head slightly. This sword formation diagram recorded the heaven-vanquishing sword formation. Even a true immortal of the great, all-embracing heaven was not qualified to study it. Su Yin placed the sword formation diagram in the 9 continents' heavenly cauldrons. Big brother, this formation diagram. Fan Jian's eyes were so red that they were about to turn purple. The sword body art was a shocking inheritance, but this sword formation diagram was even more ridiculous than the sword sex mountain protection formation. Su Yan's harvest was shocking. If word got out, the sword sex ancestors would be jealous. Why? Do you want to take a few more looks? Su Yin said disdainfully. Fan Jian was not angry. He knew his limits. Even if he was given the diagram, he would not be able to learn the contents. After all, this was related to the strongest formation Dao. It would be great if we could enter this place. I wonder if the darkness has devoured everything. Perhaps there are treasures left behind. At this moment, Fan Jian looked at the other side of space. They had gained so much in this small world. One could imagine that there might be other opportunities hidden in the other side of space. However, Fan Jian knew very well that it was impossible to barge into the isolation of the era / It was a forbidden zone for life. There's a path to enter. Su Yan's expression was solemn. He could see a path. This path was opened by the ancient celestial emperors. With the Origin Sutra, he could see an extremely massive figure cutting open a path on the one sword severing the great era layout. This path was already extremely narrow, about to completely disappear. What? The path opened by the ancient celestial emperors. Fan Jian was surprised and delighted. When he saw Su Yin charge into the river of time and space, Fan Jian exclaimed, "Big brother, are you really going to barge in? It's too dangerous in there. This is a darkness calamity. Don't act recklessly. It's definitely very dangerous in there. It's easy to be crushed. Fan Jian, go ahead. I'm going to walk the rest of the path myself." Before Su Yin could finish, Fan Jian stuck to him like a dogskin plaster and said, "The great ancient celestial emperors. It's worth it to be able to follow in his footsteps." Chapter 1508. Su Yin wondered if one sword slashing the epic was the ultimate technique of the heaven-destroying sword doctrine. One sword slashing the immortal path. One sword slashing the immortal path. And there were 2 other ultimate techniques of the sword doctrine hidden in his sea of consciousness. Su Yin did not have the ability to peek into the profound meaning of the inheritance. Even one sword slashing the immortal path was relatively difficult to perform. Su Yin guessed that one sword slashing the epic should be the ultimate technique of the heaven-destroying sword doctrine. Could it be that this was the dojo of the mysterious skeleton? Billions of years ago, this place was invaded by the Dark Calamity. The mysterious skeleton used the ultimate technique, one sword slashing the epic, to split open the river of epics and isolate the calamity. In the end, the mysterious skeleton was severely injured and drifted into the universe. After a long time, he woke up. One thing could be confirmed. The ancient celestial emperors came after this place was destroyed. Then, was his purpose of coming here to investigate the Dark Calamity? A blurry golden path, formed by the supreme primordial runes, had existed for an unknown period of time. Su Yin followed the path carved by the celestial emperor, crossed the supreme space of one sword slashing the epic, and drove into the darkness of time and space. It was as if he had returned to prehistory, to a world with a dead civilization. At this moment, Su Yin was finally able to clearly see how frightening this dark calamity was. Even with the path carved by the ancient celestial emperors guarding it, there were rolling waves of darkness surging, bombarding the celestial emperor's path, trying to obliterate and shatter it. The celestial emperor's path had suppressed it for countless years, but the dark calamity still existed, bombarding the celestial emperor's path with a terrifying energy source. How great was the ancient celestial emperors? This path has existed for an unknown period of time, but it still has such a terrifying power. Brother, do you think this path is a path that penetrates the dark calamity or a path that suppresses the dark calamity? With the greatness of the ancient celestial emperors, they must know that the dark calamity is the source of chaos. Maybe they will find a way to suppress it. Perhaps both speculations are correct. Su Yin said in a low voice, "If we follow this path, we don't know where we'll end up. It's a pity that the dark matter below is too dense. We can't see anything at all. Su Yin felt regretful. He tried to use his heaven's eye to observe the scenery below, but he couldn't see anything. The boundless darkness was excessively dense, like a boundless sea of darkness. Su Yin even wondered if this was the Dark Realm Sea. Perhaps there was more than one Dark Realm Sea. It was unknown how far the vast darkness had spread. Su Yin walked on the blurry golden path. His speed wasn't fast, but he could feel that every step he took could cross a vast territory. Vaguely, Su Yin realized that the golden path was somewhat similar to the path to heaven. If that was the case, then perhaps the Emperor Road was really created by the current heavenly emperor. Perhaps the path to heaven was also created by him. Who was he? Was he the founder of the celestial court? Did he still exist? Gradually, the surging darkness began to diminish. Su Yin saw a shocking scene. There was a huge corpse churning in the darkness. It was 100,000 feet long and had no flesh. It was just a powerful skeleton, but the bones were ridiculously hard. It was still intact even now, emitting an innate vicious aura that shook one's soul. Look, that is sword bone. Fan Jian also saw the remains. There was only one arm left, but the entire arm was like a snow-white sword embryo. It released terrifying sword light, hacking apart the darkness. It was very shocking. What kind of existence is this? The more Fan Jian thought about it, the more shocked he was, and he said, "Our sword sect has records that when one cultivates the Tao of the sword to the extreme, one's bones will transform into sword bones. Every bone is a supreme weapon of slaughter, but even a golden immortal would find it difficult to temper all the bones in his body into sword bones. But this arm is formed from sword bones. It's hard to believe how strong it was when it was alive." Su Yan's heart was heavy. Along the way, they found many skeletons and sword bones. They were extremely powerful when they were alive, but unfortunately, their lives were devoured by the darkness. What is darkness? Is it an invader? Or something else? Su Yan thought to himself. What happened here in the prehistoric era? Was darkness the enemy of life? Did it want to devour the entire world? Without a doubt, the cultivation civilization here was not simple. There were peerless powerhouses who split the river of epochs. This meant that this era in the prehistoric era was extremely prosperous. Then, did it surpass the prosperity of the celestial court 1,000,000 years ago? Gradually, the darkness became less and less. The blurry golden path was about to come to an end. Su Yan's body was tense. They had crossed this ancient world, followed the path opened by the ancient celestial emperors, and arrived at another world. It was very obvious. He and Fan Jian had an illusion that they had crossed a boundless territory and arrived at a brand new world. We left the sword tomb. Su Yan's heart skipped a beat. The darkness had completely disappeared. They had arrived at an extremely mysterious world. Heavy, oppressive, suffocating, and ice-cold. The mysterious ancient world gave Su Yin many different feelings. What was this place? What was the purpose of the ancient celestial emperors coming here? They had followed the footsteps of the ancient celestial emperors and arrived at an unknown world. The ice-cold world, the dilapidated rivers and mountains, emitted a heavy aura. There was even an astonishing metal fluctuation. Fan Jian was shocked to discover that the dilapidated rivers and mountains seemed to be forged from divine iron. There was no life, only a mechanical aura. What is this place? Fan Jian was astonished. The environment of the entire world was incompatible with them. Su Yin and Fan Jian were like people from another world who had arrived at the origin of a mysterious civilization. Su Yin walked on the dilapidated rivers and mountains. The earth was heavy, and it was difficult to move it by relying on the strength of the human body. If they were in the outside world, they could easily move the rivers and mountains. However, it was different here. The heavens and earth were excessively heavy. The boundless world had no end in sight. There were ice-cold metal fluctuations everywhere. It was bone-chilling and made them shudder. Be careful. Su Yin was on full alert. He was worried that they would encounter a great danger. Although they had followed the ancient celestial emperors to this place, how could Su Yin and the rest compare to the celestial emperors? They could only look up. Therefore, if they encountered any danger, it would be a fatal disaster. Gradually, they traveled into the depths. The ancient and mysterious world had very few mountains. In the deep starry sky, there were scattered stars drifting. Su Yin discovered that the scattered stars in the starry sky were as if they were forged from metal. It was quite mysterious. Big brother, I heard that some civilizations are not ordinary. They are different from our cultivation civilization. Do you think we have come into contact with another cultivation civilization? Or perhaps the origin of this extinct civilization has been preserved for hundreds of millions of years? Fan Jian recalled the contents of an ancient text. His emotions surged. Who knew what they would discover if they continued exploring? Suyin did not deny his guess. He said, "The boundless universe is filled with all sorts of strange things. If it really is another extinct civilization, then that would be incredible. We have been exploring the evolution of life essence, but everything here is metallic. Could there be a metallic life form here?" It's hard to imagine what era the Emperor Road existed in. The celestial emperors of the celestial court ran through the Emperor Road and created the strongest trial field. Then, what was the purpose of creating the Emperor Road? Before Fan Jian could finish speaking, Su Yan's heart trembled. At the end of the earth, he saw a figure sitting cross-legged on a cliff. The figure was lonely and seemed very small. "There's someone here." Su Yan was shocked. He rushed forward and soon approached the figure. The figure was tall and looked exactly like a human life form. However, its body was blue. It was a blue life form with a tattered body. Even its organs could be seen. It's really a metallic life form. Fan Jian was shocked. A metallic man. Its entire body was forged from mysterious metals. It must have been dead for countless years. It had no aura or energy fluctuations. It was deathly still. "It's a puppet." Su Yin was even more shocked. He took out the puppet from the Uncanny Craftsmanship series and discovered that there was a mysterious connection between the two. "What? A puppet?" Fan Jian was stunned. He shook his head and said, "I'm not interested in puppets. Could this place of good fortune be a training ground for puppets? It's not the origin of another cultivation civilization that I guessed it to be." He lost interest and was a little disappointed. Su Yin whispered, "Could this be a training ground for puppets of the Uncanny Craftsmanship series?" Uncanny Craftsmanship? Fan Jian was startled. "Your puppet is a puppet of the Uncanny Craftsmanship series? Could it be that we've arrived at the Uncanny Craftsmanship sect?" Su Yin did not know much about this sect. Although Fan Jian's knowledge was limited, he knew that this was one of the strongest places of good fortune in the 10,000 Tribes battlefield. Many immortal sects were jealous and fought with each other. They all wanted to dominate this place of good fortune. At present, the Xian people occupied most of the resources in the Uncanny Craftsmanship sect. They might have unearthed some immortal Tao puppets. The ancient celestial emperors also came here for the forging technique. Su Yan's heart raced. If they were really in the Uncanny Craftsmanship sect, then they might have arrived at the core area or even the place of good fortune. Whoosh whoosh. Thinking of this, the two of them frantically crossed into the depths. Su Yin was elated. If he could really obtain the strongest smithing skill, he could also find a way to repair his puppet. Since his big brother called it a puppet that was hard to find in the world, it was hard to imagine how heaven-defying it would be once it was repaired. Along the way, Su Yin found some metal men. Unfortunately, they were of no value. Too much time had passed. Even if the metal life had a long lifespan, it would eventually be destroyed. Gradually, the scenery along the way changed. There were some buildings. They were tall and majestic. It was like the territory of giants. However, these buildings were also badly damaged. Su Yan's sharp senses even caught the aura of darkness. His heart was heavy. If the Uncanny Craftsmanship sect was really destroyed by the darkness, then it meant that this sect had existed for too long and could not be traced back. "Big brother, there are living metal men!" Fan Jian screamed. He was frightened. Su Yin was also shocked. He saw hundreds of shadows at the end of the horizon. They looked small, but they were quite terrifying. A terrifying metal aura was released, shocking the ancient star sea. It was terrifying beyond compare. Then, Su Yin trembled. His eyes turned red, because he saw a living being that was entirely golden. It must be a metal man made of immortal down metal. How could it be? Hundreds of metal men made of terrifying precious materials. If this news spread, it would cause a huge uproar. All the immortal sects present. Of course, this was secondary. The hundreds of metal men raised their hands and carried a huge bronze chariot. Inside the chariot sat a woman. She looked like an empress sitting in the chariot. There was an ancient supreme aura that suppressed the depths of their souls. It was terrifying beyond compare.